Chapter 3085. Emperor Bloodkill. After performing the 15th move, Xiong Tao finally relaxed and was still breathing heavily. But at this time, bang! The ground suddenly burst open, and a figure rose up again. It was naturally Jian Wushuang. At this moment, his figure was a bit disheveled, but only a bit disheveled. As for his aura, it was still at its peak. Xiong Tao, your staff skill just now was really good, but I wonder if you still have the 16th move? Jian Wushuang asked excitedly. The 16th move? Xiong Tao was stunned, but then he smiled bitterly. His staff skill was only comprehended after studying it for a long time in a lucky place in the Dao Palace, and it had not been perfected yet. With his current strength and cultivation, it was already the limit for him to use the 15th staff move, or even barely. It was impossible for him to continue accumulating strength to use the 16th staff move. Is that all? Jian Wushuang was obviously disappointed. After a while, he raised his head again and said, Xiong Tao, I just received 15 staff moves from you. Then, you should also receive one from me. Xiong Tao took a deep breath, and his expression immediately became extremely solemn. Jian Wushuang did not speak again, but the vast divine power behind him had already begun to condense. In just a moment, a golden emperor phantom, which was 30,000 feet tall, appeared behind him. The golden emperor phantom contained endless majesty and looked down on everything. Its cold eyes focused on Xiong Tao, making Xiong Tao tense up and feel an extraordinary pressure. Then, Jian Wushuang held the hilt of the sword tightly with both hands and slowly raised the Blood Mountain Sword. The moment the Blood Mountain Sword was raised, a strange power began to spread. Xiong Tao stared at Jian Wushuang with a serious expression. However, at this moment, Xiong Tao suddenly felt a special power crazily pressing down on him. Xiong Tao was stunned, but he immediately understood the source of this power. Space-time is the power of space-time in the surroundings. This pressure is the pressure of space-time. This sword attack of his has brought about the pressure of space-time. Xiong Tao stared at Jian Wushuang, but at this time, from Jian Wushuang's body, the blazing flames mixed with endless white ice fog and produced endless power of ice and fire. The two natural opposing powers of ice and fire merged perfectly at this moment. The power of ice and fire swept wildly in all directions, covering the vast world in the blink of an eye. It formed a huge world of ice and fire. With Jian Wushuang as the core, the world of ice and fire pressed toward Xiong Tao with Jian Wushuang's will. In an instant, Xiong Tao felt that he was being burned and eroded by two completely different forces of ice and fire. His divine power was completely suppressed by the power of ice and fire. How is this possible? Xiong Tao's eyes were wide open. The power of ice and fire is a domain. Yes, it is a domain. But how could a first-rank true saint use such a powerful domain? Xiong Tao was stunned. He found that his divine power had been reduced by 50% under the suppression of the power of ice and fire. What did it mean? Even if a rank 4 true saint controlled an ordinary domain treasure, he could only suppress 30% of his divine power. Xiong Tao did not know that Jian Wushuang was not controlling an ordinary domain treasure, but a domain treasure, the ice and fire swimming dragon ruler. This was the first time Jian Wushuang had used this treasure since he had obtained it in the Beiming mystic realm. When he used it, its power did not disappoint Jian Wushuang. The 30,000-meter high divine punishment deterrence, the domain-type supreme treasure, ice-fire swimming dragon ruler, suppressed it with all its might, and the space-time power that was crazily pressuring him. All of this was actually for Jian Wushuang's next sword move. This move was still from the Peerless Sword Manual. It was called Emperor Bloodkill. Cut! With a roar, Jian Wushuang's Blood Mountain sword, which had been raised high, finally slashed down. This cut caused the space-time power that was pressing down on Xiong Tao from all directions to suddenly surge. Xiong Tao had already felt an extraordinary space-time pressure, but at this moment, the space-time pressure suddenly increased by 100 times. This space-time pressure was too strong. It was ridiculously strong. Coupled with the Heaven Punisher's intimidation and the Ice and Fire Dragon Ruler's full-scale suppression, Xiong Tao was completely stupefied at this moment. He was indeed stupefied. It could be said that this pressure was really too strong, so strong that he could not even move his body. That unprecedented pressure and intimidation made him lose the ability to resist at this moment, allowing the scarlet sword light to slash at him. Boom! The sword light directly cut into Xiong Tao's divine body. Although Xiong Tao was a special life form with strong defensive ability, he could not withstand such a terrifying sword attack head-on, and his divine body instantly collapsed. However, after destroying Xiong Tao's divine body, Jian Wushuang did not attack again. Soon, Xiong Tao's divine body regenerated again. After the divine body regenerated, Xiong Tao still stood there, his eyes still staring at Jian Wushuang, but his gaze was very complicated. As for Jian Wushuang, his eyes were calm, but there was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. One of the 7 swordsmanship moves of the Wushuang sword manual, the Emperor Blood Kill. This move is the combination of swordsmanship and space-time oppression, Jian Wushuang muttered. Each of the 7 swordsmanship moves of the Wushuang sword technique had its own characteristics. The Emperor Blood Kill was the perfect combination of swordsmanship and space-time oppression. The swordsmanship contained a terrifying space-time oppression power. When the swordsmanship burst out, the space-time oppression would instantly surge to the limit. The space-time pressure would restrict the opponent to the greatest extent. And Jian Wushuang was good at domains, so he also integrated the domain into this move. Just now, he had perfectly combined the intimidation of the divine punishment god, the pressure of the realm of ice-fire swimming dragon ruler, and the pressure of the space-time force to restrict Xiong Tao to the greatest extent, so Xiong Tao could not resist it at all. But in fact, the sword just now was not in the perfect state of Emperor Blood Kill. After all, Jian Wushuang had not fully displayed his realm and his star armor realm. Moreover, in terms of the intimidation effect, the supreme sword essence in Blood Mountain Sword was even more powerful. Therefore, only when the Heaven Punisher, Ice-Fire Swimming Dragon Ruler, Star Armor Realm, Supreme Sword Essence, and the powerful space-time pressure contained in the swordsmanship were perfectly combined together. This was the true and complete form of the Blood Emperor Kill. Chapter 3086. Drastic changes. Even if it's not a complete form, it's still not too difficult for me to defeat Xiong Tao with my strength, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Xiong Tao was the #1 genius of the Dao Palace. Not only did he have a very high comprehension of the rules, but he also created a very impressive staff skill. Moreover, he was a special life form. His innate advantage was much greater than that of other cultivators of the same level. However, Jian Wushuang was the most perfect chaotic creature in the world. In terms of life level, he was much higher than Xiong Tao. Xiong Tao was a first-rank true saint, and he was at the peak of the first rank. His divine power was only at the level of a third-rank true saint. But what about Jian Wushuang? His current divine power was comparable to a peak third-rank true saint, and it even surpassed most peak third-rank true saints. In terms of divine power, he was stronger than Xiong Tao. In terms of rules, he was not weaker than Xiong Tao at all. Xiong Tao created the Golden Mountain Staff, which was extremely powerful. However, his staff skill was not perfect, but Jian Wushuang was different. He had been in the Bodhi world for 100 years and created the Peerless Sword Manual by studying a lot of exquisite sword skills. This was a complete and extremely powerful sword skill. A single move might not be too terrifying, but the combination of the 7 techniques involved many aspects. It was much more powerful than the staff skill created by Xiong Tao. In addition, Jian Wushuang was not weaker than Xiong Tao in terms of secret skills. In terms of treasures, Jian Wushuang had just used the supreme treasure, Ice Fire Swimming Dragon Ruler, and the Blood Mountain Sword was also extremely powerful. How could Xiong Tao compare to him in terms of overall strength? In terms of strength, Xiong Tao is already the strongest person I have ever seen among rank 1 true saints. Unfortunately, although he is strong, he can only let me use the Emperor's Blood Kill. He is not qualified to let me use the strongest move. Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly. Wushuang Sword Manual, 7 sword moves. Shixiang, Star Dream, Kenyang, Emperor's Blood Kill, Instant of Life and Death, 9th Firmament Illusionary Sword. These 6 sword moves were all very amazing. However, the most terrifying sword move in the unparalleled sword manual, which even made Jian Wushuang somewhat proud, was the last move, Blood Asura. That sword move was the greatest achievement he had obtained after hundreds of years of meditation in the Bodhi world. Unfortunately, until now, no one had been able to force him to use his strongest sword move. The battle between Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao had ended. Jian Wushuang won and Xiong Tao lost. Bai Xiao could not accept this result. How is it possible? Senior brother Xiong Tao lost? The number 1 genius of our Dao Palace is not only powerful in the understanding of principles and Dao, but also senior brother Xiong Tao, a special life form. He still lost to Sword Heavenly Marquis despite going all out. The Heavenly Sword Marquis is actually this strong. Bai Xiao, the red-haired man, the black-robed young man, and the beautiful woman in golden armor were all somewhat stunned. After a long while, the beautiful woman was the first to react. Bai Xiao, did you use the mirror image token to record senior brother Xiong Tao's battle with the Heavenly Sword Marquis? Master had already instructed me to do so. So, of course, I recorded it, Bai Xiao said. That's good. The beautiful woman nodded heavily. Soon after, she asked, do you think that the Heavenly Sword Marquis has used all of his strength in this battle? This, Bai Xiao was startled. He subconsciously said he should have used all of his strength. If he still held back when facing such a terrifying senior brother Xiong Tao, wouldn't that be too abnormal? This may not be true, the beautiful woman said. In short, the genius disciples from the Dao Palace were so shocked that they could not calm down for a long time. On the other side, there was another person who was as shocked as Bai Xiao and the others, or even more shocked. This person was Duan Yu. He is so strong. Duan Yu stared at Jian Wushuang with wide eyes. He had fought with Jian Wushuang during the Genius Feast in the Jade Dragon Mystic Realm. Although he knew that Jian Wushuang was strong, he did not think that he was weaker than Jian Wushuang. After the Genius Feast ended, he immediately came up and challenged Jian Wushuang. In the end, Jian Wushuang defeated him with 1 sword strike, making him realize the gap between him and Jian Wushuang. However, he did not expect that this matter was not over yet. The next battle between Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao completely shocked him. Both Xiong Tao and Jian Wushuang were ridiculously strong in his eyes, especially Jian Wushuang, and the last sword strike he used, the world had completely calmed down. Almost everyone on the field was in a state of shock, even Xiong Tao. But at this moment, something unexpected happened. Ha! It's quite lively here. A hearty and evil laughter suddenly echoed in the world. Jian Wushuang and everyone present immediately looked up and looked at the source of the voice. They saw 5 figures appear in the void next to each other. All 5 of them were covered in black robes, and the aura they emitted was very powerful. A rank 4 true saint. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. All 5 of them were rank 4 true saints, and the cold old man in the middle had reached the peak of rank 4 true saint. These people. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. Xiong Tao Bai Shao and the others immediately gathered together. As for Duanyu, the 2 rank 4 true saints immediately protected him behind them. Who are you? Xiong Tao's cold voice echoed in the world. As he spoke, he quietly took out a token with his right hand. The leader of the 5 black-robed elders, smiled wickedly. Of course we're the ones who killed you. Attack! Boom! An extremely powerful aura suddenly burst out from the void behind them. Immediately, a large amount of black fog covered Jian Wushuang and the others at a terrifying speed. The black fog spread so fast that Jian Wushuang and the others did not have time to react before they were completely covered by the black fog. Oh no! Xiong Tao's expression changed, and a message was immediately sent out. Not only him, but Bai Shao and Duanyu also sent messages to Iceberg and the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion. Haha, send a message for help? It's useless. When you were fighting, we had searched the void carefully, and there was no one around. Now, even if you send a message to the person behind you for help, no one will be able to get here in a short time. And when they really arrive, the few of you will already be dead. The cold old man laughed wantonly. Chapter 3087, Peak Rank 4. He's right, Xiong Tao said in a low voice. Although I have asked for help from Dao Palace, it will take some time for them to send experts here. There were many experts from Heavenly Cloud Pavilion in the Jade Dragon Mystic Realm, and they came here as fast as they could. But it will take them at least 15 minutes to get here. Duanyu said, 15 minutes? Jian Wushuang's face darkened. 15 minutes might not seem like a long time, but with their strength, they could fight many times in 10 breaths. 15 minutes was enough to fight several battles. Haha, 15 minutes? Can you hold on for 15 minutes? The cold elder sneered and looked at Xiong Tao and Jian Wushuang, the first genius of the Dao Palace. Although we don't know the background of the other one, he was able to defeat Xiong Tao in a head-on fight. Naturally, his talent is even better. In addition, the others are also from the Dao Palace. We have gained a lot from this. Let's do it. Kill all these geniuses. As for Xiong Tao, if you have the chance, capture him alive. He is a special life form. It will be very useful to capture him. Yes. Following the order of the Cold Elder, the black-robed men, including the Cold Elder, immediately took action. A total of 5 rank 4 true saints, including a peak rank 4 true saint, directly rushed toward Jian Wushuang and the others. Jian Wushuang and the others gathered together with solemn expressions. The surrounding void has been completely sealed by the black fog. We have no chance to escape. We have no choice but to fight, Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. Xiong Tao, with your strength, you should be able to deal with a rank 4 true saint, right? Yes. Xiong Tao nodded. You two are also rank 4 true saints. Each of you can deal with one. Jian Wushuang looked at the 2 rank 4 true saints behind Duanyu. No problem. The 2 rank 4 true saints also nodded. Bai Shao, you are geniuses of the Dao Palace. Although you are only rank 1 true saints, you all have some extraordinary strength. The 4 of you, together with Duanyu, will work together to find a way to tie down a rank 4 true saint. I will use my domain to assist you, Jian Wushuang said. It's difficult, but you can try, Bai Shao said, clenching his teeth. Then that's it. You each deal with a rank 4 true saint. As for the strongest peak, rank 4 true saint, leave it to me. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. Xiong Tao by Xiao Duanyu, and the others could not help looking at Jian Wushuang. That was a peak rank 4 true saint under normal circumstances. A true saint at the peak of rank 4 would be much stronger than an ordinary rank 4 true saint. It was slow to say, but in fact, the communication between Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao was completed in an instant. At this moment, they had reached an agreement. Attack! Jian Wushuang shouted, and everyone moved in an instant. Rumble! Boundless divine power crazily condensed behind Jian Wushuang, and the 30,000 feet tall Golden Emperor Phantom looked down at everything. The star power in Jian Wushuang's body was also activated, and his aura suddenly increased. In addition, a layer of dark gold armor appeared on his body. 7-star secret skill, Divine Punishment, and 9 luminary star armor were used at the same time. At the same time, a supreme sword essence burst out from the Blood Mountain sword. However, when Jian Wushuang defeated Xiong Tao, he had only used the Punishment Divine Realm. As for the 7-star secret skill, the 9 luminary star armor, and the supreme sword essence in the Blood Mountain sword, he had not used them. But now he was going to face a genuine peak rank 4 true saint, which was much more powerful than the Magic Note King he had met in the Magic Note Divine Kingdom. He did not dare to be careless in the face of such an opponent. He had to use his full strength. Shixiang! Jian Wushuang shouted. Whoosh! The sword light was swung, and a sword shadow was slashed out. The moment it was slashed out, a thick beast roar reverberated in the sky and earth. A mere pearl dares to compete with the sun and moon. The cold elder glanced at Jian Wushuang with disdain on the corner of his mouth, and then he slapped his hand. Boom! The world shook, and a huge black palm print completely covered the void in front of Jian Wushuang. The sword shadow hit the black palm print head-on. The black palm print instantly collapsed, and a large amount of divine power scattered in all directions. The sword shadow was still pressing toward the cold elder with extraordinary power. What? The cold elder was shocked, but he suddenly retreated and dodged Jian Wushuang's sword. This kid is much stronger than when he fought with Xiong Tao. The cold elder was shocked. He had witnessed the fight between Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao. He was indeed shocked by the strength of Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao, but he did not really care, because both Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao's strength was only at the level of a rank 4 true saint. They were not very strong among rank 4 true saints, so how could they compare with him, a peak rank 4 true saint? But who would have thought that when he fought with Jian Wushuang's strength was much stronger than before? This kid hit a lot of strength when he fought with Xiong Tao. The cold elder narrowed his eyes, and his expression became serious. Jian Wushuang's eyes were also cold as he stared at the cold elder. With my strength, it's not difficult for me to fight against a true saint at the peak of rank 4. But what I want to do is not to fight him head-on. While Jian Wushuang was pondering, he was also observing the surrounding battlefields. In the surrounding battlefields, Xiong Tao by Xiao and the others fought against a rank 4 true saint according to Jian Wushuang's instructions. Xiong Tao was fine. As a special life form, his strength was indeed impressive. Even if he faced a rank 4 true saint head-on, he was not at a disadvantage. However, the situation on the other battlefields was not very advantageous. The first was the 2 4th level true saints under Duan Yes command. Although they were also 4th level true saints, they were only sent by the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion to be Duan Yes subordinates. Their status in the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion was very low, so their strength was naturally not much stronger. The 2 of them faced a black-robed man, but in the end, both of them were at an absolute disadvantage. On the other side, Bai Shao, Duanyu, and the others were struggling with the last black-robed man, but the situation was not optimistic. Their personal strength was far inferior to that of the black-robed man. One moment of carelessness, and they might be defeated by the black-robed man. I have no choice. I have to end this battle quickly. Jian Wushuang's expression was solemn. There was a hint of killing intent in his eyes as he looked at the cold old man. Chapter 3088. Blood Asura, the raging flames, mixed with endless white ice fog, produced an endless power of ice and fire, which suddenly rose from Jian Wushuang's body. The two natural powers of ice and fire were perfectly fused at this moment. The power of ice and fire crazily swept out in all directions, covering the vast world in the blink of an eye. It formed a huge world of ice and fire. The world of ice and fire was centered around Jian Wushuang. With his will, the world of ice and fire pressed wildly toward the black-robed men on the battlefield, including the Cold Elder. At the same time, Jian Wushuang's star armor domain burst out and superimposed perfectly on the world of ice and fire. The domain type, Supreme Treasure, Ice and Fire Swimming Dragon Ruler, was used by Jian Wushuang with his current strength, together with the star armor domain. Even if it was not completely suppressing one person, but 5 people at the same time, the powerful pressure, it still made the 5 black-robed men look surprised. What a powerful realm! The Cold Elder raised his head in surprise. Jian Wushuang did not speak. He used his realm mainly to relieve the pressure on the surrounding battlefields. As for the Cold Elder in front of him, even if he did not use his realm, Jian Wushuang still had a way to deal with him. Swish! Jian Wushuang moved. Silver figures burst out at the same time like ghosts. Jian Wushuang had already used the silver light movement skill he had created to the maximum. In just a short moment, Jian Wushuang had already appeared in front of the Cold Elder, and the Blood Mountain sword in his hand had already fallen down. 9th heaven of illusionary sword. Swish, 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 swish. Jian Wushuang brandished his sword 9 times in a row and executed a total of 9 sword moves. However, even though he had executed 9 sword moves in one go, it felt like he had only executed 1 sword move. The 9 sword shadows were all extremely obscure. They overlapped and gathered together. The moment they were brandished, they directly attacked the Cold Elder. Humph, ridiculous! The Cold Elder let out a cold snort. Majestic divine power gathered in his hands. His 2 palms seemed to have turned into 2 huge dark clouds that covered the area at an incredible speed. Bang, 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 bang. 9 consecutive collisions rang out. Jian Wushuang's 9th realm illusory sword skill, which suppressed his opponent with absolute speed, was blocked by the Cold Elder's 2 palms. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Star Dream! A sword shadow suddenly appeared in the world. It was a cold and gorgeous sword shadow that felt like a dream. The sword light was calm and indifferent. It swung out from Jian Wushuang's hand and then directly rushed toward the Cold Elder's neck. This sword move was very fast, especially at such a close distance. It was extremely fast. When the sword shadow burst out, the Cold Elder's face darkened. His right hand turned into a huge dark cloud and hit the Blood Mountain sword with the power of rule. The Star Dream first move immediately disintegrated, and Jian Wushuang stepped back. Boy, your strength is great, but you can only fight with me. Even with the help of the realm, you can at most gain the upper hand. You can use whatever means you have, the Cold Elder said in a low voice. Jian Wushuang looked at the cold elder, but his eyes turned slightly, as expected of a true saint at the peak of rank 4. His strength is much stronger than that of an ordinary rank 4 true saint. He is much stronger than the demon note Qing who fought with me. With such strength, it would be difficult to kill him with just the Emperor's blood kill or life and death. It seems that I have to use blood Asura. Jian Wushuang tightened his grip on the blood mountain sword in his right hand, and his aura also became unusually cold. Buzz. It was so cold that it reached the bottom of the valley. It was extremely cold. The entire world seemed to have been completely silent in an ice cave. Huh. The cold elder raised his head and stared at Jian Wushuang with a solemn face. He sensed that the coldness that suddenly swept out in the surroundings came from Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang did not move. He just stood there and was still some distance away from the cold elder. But at this time, he slowly raised the blood mountain sword in his hand. The sword was placed horizontally in front of him, but this simple action of raising the sword instantly stirred up the surrounding space and time, and the surrounding void became completely blood red. Yes, it was blood red. The blood red sky, the blood red earth, and even the air was filled with a large amount of blood fog. The cold elder even seemed to see the bones under Jian Wushuang's feet, which had condensed into a blood sea. The shocking killing intent shot up to the sky, making the cold elder feel a trace of fear. At this moment, Jian Wushuang was no longer a human cultivator, but an Asura who had turned into hell. It was a blood-red Asura. The blood-red Asura raised the sword in its hand and slowly slashed out. The simple slash seemed to contain no power. However, the moment the blood mountain sword was slashed out, an unprecedented fear rushed into the cold elder's heart. The cold elder looked at the blood-red Asura waving its long sword and the sword light slashing toward him, but he had an irresistible and unstoppable feeling. The cold elder's face was filled with fear. Divine power surged wildly throughout his body, as if he wanted to block this sword. But suddenly, a wave of space-time power came without any warning. The cold elder was still in a state of fear. He had even raised more than half of his palm. But it was this posture that made the cold elder pause. This was space-time stagnation. It was a space-time stagnation formed by the space-time divine skill, the heaven-designated skill. However, the difference was that the heaven-designated skill was not performed by Jian Wushuang alone. Instead, it had been integrated into his swordsmanship. Yes, it was the strongest and most terrifying move in the Wushuang sword manual. It was even a move that made Jian Wushuang proud and proud. The reason why he was so proud was not only because this move was extremely terrifying, but also because it was so powerful that people could not resist it. The most important thing was that he had made an incredible breakthrough in this move. That was, he had perfectly combined his swordsmanship with the space-time divine skill. The heaven-designated skill was a space-time divine skill that could temporarily freeze time. Jian Wushuang had once used it at a critical moment to catch his opponent off guard, and then he used his swordsmanship to kill his opponent and win. But now, this move had been completely integrated into his swordsmanship and into the Blood Asura move. When the sword light slashed out, time and space froze wherever it passed. Chapter 3089. Inviting Lord Long Xing Hua. The sword light mercilessly flashed past, and a head flew out. The cold old man's eyes were wide open as he watched his head and divine body separate. Although he was shocked, the cold old man was not scared. After all, true saints all had immortal bodies, but suddenly, an unprecedented pain appeared out of nowhere, causing the cold elder to cry out in shock. Poison, it's poison, this poison, it's the evil god poison. The cold elder instantly felt that the evil god poison was madly corroding his divine body. The evil god poison was extremely powerful. Although he was a peak rank 4 true saint, he still could not resist it. In the blink of an eye, 80% of his divine power had been corroded by the evil god poison. However, the evil god poison that had corroded the cold elder's body had been completely exhausted. He's not dead. Jian Wushuang frowned, but he was not surprised. Under normal circumstances, 1 drop of evil god poison was enough to kill a rank 3 true saint. However, the cold old man was a peak 4th level true saint, so the effect of the evil god poison would be greatly reduced. In addition, the level of the evil god poison was not low. Even the Blood Mountain sword could only absorb 3 drops of the evil god poison at the same time. 3 drops was the limit. Therefore, when the sword light flashed past, only 3 drops of the evil god poison entered the cold old man's divine body and began to erode his divine power. It was normal that 3 drops of evil god poison could not kill the cold elder completely. Humph! Jian Wushuang snorted and slowly raised his left hand. Then he pointed at the void where the cold elder was. This finger seemed ordinary, but the moment he pointed, a power of space-time principles burst out. Rumble! A majestic space-time storm appeared out of thin air. No, a mournful roar echoed in the sky. The cold old man's divine body that was about to be reassembled, along with a large amount of surging god power, fell into the space-time storm. Rumble the space-time storm crazily crushed and annihilated everything as if it was destroying everything. In just a blink of an eye, everything in the void where the cold elder was, including his divine power, was destroyed. Naturally, the cold elder was also dead. 1-finger void annihilation technique is a divine technique that can destroy everything on a large scale. It can also counter the immortal body of a true saint expert. The space-time storm destroyed everything in its path, including divine power. Jian Wushuang thought to himself, the immortal body of a true saint expert was based on divine power. However, if the divine power of this true saint expert was completely annihilated, then the true saint expert would certainly die. A true saint expert who had reached the peak of rank 4 was killed by Jian Wushuang in the blink of an eye. The surrounding people also saw this scene. All of a sudden, everyone was shocked. They even forgot that they were fighting with someone and stopped what they were doing. This Xiong Tao stared at Jian Wushuang, his eyes full of shock. He really has hidden his strength. The beautiful woman in golden armor trembled. Bai Xiaoju, Luo, Duanyu, and the others were all stunned speechless. They were not the only ones. The 4 black-robed men were the same as well. A rank 1 true saint killed a peak rank 4 true saint. How is this possible? Am I dreaming? It's fake. How could 39 die at the hands of a rank 1 true saint? The black-robed men were also completely stunned. After a long while, one of the long-haired black-robed men reacted immediately. Quick, invite Lord Longxing. As the long-haired black-robed man shouted, a black-robed man immediately flipped his hand and took out a special token. Pa! The jade token was crushed, and a vast and majestic aura descended. Wung, wung, wung. A large amount of black fog condensed in the void, and in the blink of an eye, it formed a 3-meter-tall black phantom. This black phantom was extremely hazy, and its exact appearance could not be seen clearly. All that could be seen was a pair of cold eyes peeking out from the fog. Lord Longxing. Seeing the arrival, the 4 black-robed men immediately bowed respectfully. The black shadow's cold eyes looked around the void, and then he said in a hoarse voice, "Where's 39? Master, 39 is dead." "We have no choice but to ask you to help us," the long-haired, black-robed man said respectfully. He only killed a few rank 1 true saints. Not only did he fail to kill them, but he even lost his life. What a waste! The Black Phantom cursed in a low voice. The 4 black-robed men lowered their heads and did not dare to say another word. In the void in front of them, Jian Wushuang and the others stood there, looking at the black shadow that suddenly appeared in the void with an extremely ugly expression. They could see that the black shadow was probably an energy clone formed by an expert using a special method. Although it was only an energy clone, if its owner was extremely powerful, the energy clone could also burst out with extraordinary battle strength, which was enough to pose a great threat to them. The strength that this main Bodis energy clone currently possesses is extremely limited. It can only unleash one attack. After one attack, the 4 of you should immediately leave no matter what the result is, the black illusory figure instructed. Yes, the 4 black-robed men immediately nodded. The black illusory figure slowly lifted his head after giving his instructions. The moment he lifted his head, a strange glow flashed within his cold eyes. Buzz, buzz, buzz. An extremely unique power burst out like a tsunami. What is this? Jian Wushuang's face suddenly changed. Soul attack. Oh no, be careful of the soul attack. Xiong Tao also shouted in a low voice. The moment he sensed that the Black Phantom had used soul attack, Jian Wushuang had already moved. A silver light flashed across the void, and Jian Wushuang pushed his speed and movement to the limit. He did not attack the black shadow, nor did he retreat. Instead, he stood in front of Zhu Luo. Among the people present, only Zhu Luo had some friendship with him. Zhu Luo was the weakest, and he did not have any soul defense skills. Once he was affected by the soul attack, there was at least a 90% chance that he would die. Now that Jian Wushuang was standing in front of Zhu Luo, the soul attack that was coming toward Zhu Luo was completely withstood by Jian Wushuang alone. Boom! Jian Wushuang felt as if a huge drumstick had smashed into his sea of consciousness. He had the exquisite pagoda in his sea of consciousness, but with the impact of this soul power, his soul pagoda only lasted for a moment, then it collapsed. Chapter 3090. Soul annihilation. As soon as the exquisite pagoda collapsed, his physical soul was defenseless. Fortunately, his soul was much tougher and stronger than ordinary people. After the powerful soul attack destroyed the exquisite pagoda, the remaining power was not very strong. Although it also severely injured Jian Wushuang's physical soul, however, it did not completely destroy his soul. Humph! Jian Wushuang snorted, and his face turned pale. Of course, this was his own disguise. His soul was like his divine body. Even if it directly collapsed, he could rely on divine power to regenerate it. So what if his soul was severely injured? However, the soul attack of the Black Phantom was not aimed at him alone. Instead, it was aimed at everyone in front of him. Jian Wushuang could easily resist the soul attack because of his soul defense and the uniqueness of his own soul. However, the others were not so easy. Buzz, soul power swept across. It was as if time and space had completely stopped. Then whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 figures fell directly to the ground. They were the red-haired man, the black-robed young man, and the beautiful woman in golden armor from the Dao Palace. It was true that the 3 of them were genius disciples of the Dao Palace, and their strength was also very impressive. However, the 3 of them were not too strong in terms of their souls. At that moment, even though the soul attack that the Black Phantom unleashed was aimed at everyone, the soul attack that struck them was still extremely powerful. The 3 of them were unable to block it, and their souls had already been directly killed. These 3 geniuses were already dead. Lung Chong, Moao, and Xiezi. Bai Xiao's expression changed drastically, and he let out a cry of shock and anger. Bai Xiao's strength was about the same as the red-haired man, and the other two. In fact, his soul was not much stronger than the other three, but Bai Xiao's identity was different. He was not only a genius disciple of the Tao Palace, but also the #1 genius of the current era of the Young Divine Sect. The Young Divine Sect placed great importance on him, so they gave him many life-saving items. In terms of soul defense, he had a soul defense sacred treasure in his body, and its level was not low. That was why he was able to survive this soul attack. There was also Duan Yu, who had also relied on his soul defense treasure to barely survive. As for Xiong Tao, as the #1 genius of the Tao Palace, he had even more life-saving methods. The soul attack only caused a slight change in his expression, but it did not cause much of an impact. As for the 2 level 4 true saints that followed Duan Yu, because they were genuine level 4 true saints, their souls were also at this level. Although they were affected by the soul attack just now, they still survived. After a wave of soul attack, just as the Black Phantom had said, his energy clone was too weak. Using 1 wave of attack was already the limit. Although it caused a certain amount of damage, his energy clone also quickly collapsed. Let's go. The 4 black-robed men did not hesitate at all. They fled the void as fast as they could. The 4 black-robed men ran for their lives as fast as they could. After running for a long distance, they finally stopped on a barren mountain. The 4 black-robed men looked at each other. Their expressions were very strange. As expected, we weren't prepared enough. We still paid the price for acting rashly, the long-haired black-robed man said. There's nothing we can do. Time is too short, and we don't have enough time to prepare. After all, we only have 1 chance, and it's fleeting. We have to seize it, the other black-robed man said. They had acted rashly and hastily this time. It could even be said that they were not prepared at all. One had to know that the force they were in was extremely huge and tyrannical. Although it could not compare to the 3 great freedom alliances, the difference was not too great. They had countless experts, and 4th-level true saints like them were nothing in their force. But this time it was too hasty, because they only found out after the genius banquet that the palace's #1 genius, Xiong Tao, had actually participated in this genius banquet and did not have any experts by his side. This was a once-in-lifetime opportunity for assassination. Of course, their forces did not want to miss this opportunity. Therefore, even though they knew it would be difficult, they immediately dispatched the 5 rank 4 true saints, led by 39. In addition, they also carried the Jade Talisman of Lord Longxing's energy doppelganger to assassinate him. They had already organized the strongest force in such a short period of time. Originally, with the 5 of them, if they were lucky, they could have killed Xiong Tao and the few geniuses who had arrived at the palace. However, accidents continued to happen. First, the appearance of Duan Yu and his 2 guards, and then the fight between Xiong Tao and Jian Wushuang made them realize that there was also Jian Wushuang, who also had the battle strength of a rank 4 true saint. All of these added together, the battle strength of 4 rank 4 true saints was not much inferior to their lineup. At that time, they knew that the probability of success was very low. However, they had no choice but to take action. They did not expect Jian Wushuang to give them a huge surprise as soon as he took action. He killed 39, the strongest among them, with a thunderbolt. Next, they only let Lord Longxing's energy doppelganger take action. Fortunately, although 39 died in this assassination and used a special token that Lord Longxing refined, this token is only the lowest level token. We've already killed 3 genius disciples of the Tao Palace, so we've already made a profit. The trouble is that this assassination failed. That Xiong Tao will definitely be more cautious in the future. I'm afraid We won't have such an opportunity again in the future, said the long-haired black-robed man. Not only that, we have another harvest. Another black-robed man said, it's the man who killed 39. At the mention of Jian Wushuang, the 4 black-robed men immediately became very serious. Yes, this man is also one of our harvest, and it's a great harvest, the long-haired black-robed man said excitedly. A first-level true saint can kill 39, who has reached the peak of the 4th rank directly. It's incredible. His talent is obviously higher than Xiong Tao, but we don't know whether he is from the Dao Palace or not. If so, we should kill him earlier than Xiong Tao. The other 3 black-robed men also nodded heavily. No matter what, this mission has already ended. Let's go back and report this matter to the higher-ups. As for what we should do next, we'll leave it to the higher-ups of the sect to decide for themselves. Chapter 3091. Left alone after a fierce battle, the ground in the void that had been completely sealed by the black fog had become pockmarked. Even in the void, time and space had not completely calmed down. Jian Wushuang and the others gathered together, and there were 3 cold corpses lying under their feet. They were the red-haired man, the black-robed young man, and the beautiful woman in golden armor from the Dao Palace. Although their divine bodies were intact and did not suffer any damage, their souls had been completely destroyed. Soul destruction. Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly. It was indeed difficult to kill a true saint expert with an immortal body. However, some special poisons that could corrode the body and soul were the 2 best weapons that could restrain the body. Those special poisons were better. After all, if the poisons wanted to corrode the god power, they had to pass through the skin of the cultivator and transfer the poison into the other's body. Most true saints wore protective armor. To do this, they had to forcefully tear apart the other party's protective armor. Therefore, in the divine beginning realm, only those who used sharp weapons like swords, sabers, daggers, spears, and so on were suitable to use these special venoms. As for those who used axes, hammers, or gloves, most of them used force to suppress others, sending their power through the suppression to the other party's divine body. However, it was very difficult to deliver the venoms into the other party's body, so they naturally could not use them. Moreover, not only were these special poisons expensive, but they also needed a certain way to buy them. Thus, there were very few cultivators who really used these special poisons to kill their enemies, so they were not too frightening to true saints. And what truly frightened true saints was the destruction of their souls. The soul was the foundation of the cultivators. Once their souls were destroyed, no matter how strong their divine bodies were or how much divine power they had, it was useless. This was common sense. Therefore, experts who were good at soul attacks would attract attention no matter where they were. Zhu Luo, Jian Wushuang suddenly said, "Let's part ways here." "Brother Heavenly Marquis, are you leaving?" Zhu Luo immediately looked at Jian Wushuang. "Yes." Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. "I went to the Young Divine Sect to find a place to stay and familiarize myself with the environment of the first heaven. Now that I'm familiar with it, I naturally have to leave." But Zhu Luo wanted to say something, but Jian Wushuang had already waved his hand and interrupted him. "Bai Shao." Jian Wushuang looked at Bai Shao again. "I know what Bai Zhu and Iceberg are planning. Go back and tell them that I'm grateful for their kindness, but I don't plan to join the Dao Palace now. But they don't have to feel regretful because I'll go to the Divine Ancestor Daoist Sect soon." "Oh." Bai Shao was surprised. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. He was telling the truth. He had promised Xue Bei that he would go to the bloodline of the blood ancestor in the Divine Ancestor Daoist Sect. However, he was too weak now, so he did not know much about the Divine Ancestor Daoist Sect and the bloodline of the Blood Clan. Since there were many bloodlines in the divine ancestor Daoist sect, there might be some internal competition. So he did not dare to go rashly. But when he was stronger, he would know more or meet experts from the bloodline of the blood ancestor. Goodbye, everyone. Jian Wushuang did not stay any longer and left. In the void, Jian Wushuang was flying forward alone. Many thoughts appeared in his mind. Elder Mo Shan said that the heaven-cleaving secret realm will open in 80 years. Now, only 30 years have passed, and there are still 50 years left. In these 50 years, I can try to break through the first heaven. Besides, I am comprehending both the space-time principles and the reincarnation principles at the same time. Now, the space-time rule has reached the third stage, and I have studied it to a certain extent. In terms of comprehension, I am very close to a rank 5 true saint, but in terms of the reincarnation principles, my progress is very slow, Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. He was comprehending both the space-time principles and the reincarnation principles at the same time, and the two complemented each other. But now, the samsara principles was far behind the space-time principles. I'm only a rank 1 true saint now, but my comprehension of the space-time principles is too high. My realm is limited, and my progress is obviously not as fast as before. In the past 50 years, I can completely focus on the samsara principles. After making up his mind, Jian Wushuang immediately began to think of ways to improve his comprehension of the samsara principles. On the other side, Baizhu and Iceberg had long known that Jian Wushuang, Xiong Tao, and the others had been attacked. However, when they rushed over, the black-clothed men had already left, and Jian Wushuang had also left. Then they carefully inquired about the outcome of the matter and also obtained a mirror image of Jian Wushuang and Xiong Tao's battle. Seeing the mirror image, both of them were very shocked. I knew this little guy was very strong. Otherwise, the 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance would not have given him a place to enter the Heaven-Cleaving mystic realm so generously. But I didn't expect this little guy to be so powerful. Xiong Tao is the strongest expert among the first-rank true saints of our Dao Palace, and he is a special life form. His divine power is comparable to a third-rank true saint. How could he be no match for him? Baizhu exclaimed. That's not all, Iceberg said in a low voice. According to what my disciple said, the heavenly sword marquis didn't use his full strength when he fought with Xiong Tao. It wasn't until the black-robed men arrived that he revealed his full strength. He actually killed a peak 4th rank true saint. It's simply inconceivable. Xiong Tao's combat power is already considered incredible among the first-rank true saints, but he's actually much stronger than Xiong Tao. Could it be that he's also a special life form? Baizhu could not help but ask. It's very possible. Iceberg nodded slightly. Forget it. No matter what this little guy's background is, since he said that he would make a trip to the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect in the future, this means that he doesn't have any hostility toward our Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. In fact, he might even have some connections. That's already not bad. Baizhu smiled. However, his expression immediately turned cold. Let's not talk about this little guy now. Let's talk about those black-robed men. Our Dao Palace has always been very strict in protecting the geniuses under our command, especially top geniuses like Xiong Tao. This time, Xiong Tao appeared at this genius banquet because he received my orders. I originally thought that Xiong Tao would only participate in this genius banquet and leave after a battle with the Heavenly Sword Marquis without encountering any accidents. I never expected that such a small mistake would actually cause our Dao Palace to suffer heavy losses. Chapter 3092. Sorcerer God Baizhu's expression was extremely unsightly, and his aura was also abnormally cold. This time, the Dao Palace had indeed suffered heavy losses. After all, a total of 3 geniuses had fallen. These 3 geniuses were all very outstanding. Although the chances of becoming the principal's master in the future were very low, the chances of becoming a top-notch immortal saint were still very high. They might even become invincible amongst the immortal saints. Unfortunately, because of this small mistake, these 3 geniuses had died. Fortunately, Xiong Tao didn't die. Otherwise, the losses this time would have been too great. It was so great that even I couldn't bear it. Bai Ju clenched his hands tightly. The Dao Palace valued Xiong Tao extremely. If Xiong Tao died here, although he was the principal's master, he would definitely be severely punished by the Dao Palace. Even if he did not die, he would at least lose a layer of skin. Where did those 5 black-robed men come from? Bai Ju shouted in a low voice. Lord Bai Ju, the appearance of those 5 black-robed men was very strange. I've already sent people to investigate, but they were unable to find any traces. However, there's one thing. The reason why they were able to kill the 3 geniuses of our Dao Palace was because they crushed a command talisman and summoned an expert's energy clone. Then, this expert's energy clone unleashed a soul attack. At that time, those black-robed men addressed this energy clone as Lord Longxing. Iceberg said respectfully, Longxing. Bai Ju narrowed his eyes, and a sharp light shot out. Longxing, the master of Longxing. It's the Sorcerer God's Sect. Sorcerer God's Sect. Iceberg was also stunned. Damn, the Sorcerer God's Sect. I've heard that they're very close to the 3 great sages. It seems that it's true, Bai Ju said coldly. The 3 great saints. Iceberg was shocked. Humph! The 3 great saints have always been at odds with the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, the Temporal Temple, and our divine ancestor Taoist sect. Although the 2 sides have not really shed all pretenses of cordiality, there are still all kinds of fights going on in the dark. In recent years, the 3 great saints have been thinking of ways to suppress the 3 great freedom alliances, to suppress us. Other than killing as many of our higher-ups as possible, the most important thing is to kill some of the geniuses in the 3 great freedom alliances ahead of time. Many years ago, 3 disciples of our Dao Palace were assassinated when they were out adventuring. At that time, they suspected that it was the 3 great sages who had done it, but they couldn't find any traces of it. But now, the Sorcerer God Sect is openly assassinating the geniuses of our Dao Palace. Good, very good. It seems that the old Sorcerer God wants to be chased back to the universe battlefield. Bai Ju's ruthless aura surged into the sky. Lord Bai Ju, wasn't it rumored that the Sorcerer God Sect has always been interested in some special bloodlines and some special life forms? Iceberg suddenly said, yes, they are indeed very interested in special life forms. For a long time, they have been searching for all kinds of special bloodlines. Usually, they would capture those who could be captured alive and kill those who could not be captured alive. Then, they would take away their corpses. As for their purpose, no one knows. No matter what, since the Sorcerer God Sect dared to attack the genius disciples of our Dao Palace this time, they must bear the wrath of the entire divine ancestor Dao Sect. Ah! The killing intent of the 100 Jew was overwhelming. Soon, he personally went to see the supreme existences of the Dao Palace. Jian Wushuang did not know the identities of the 5 black-robed men and why they wanted to assassinate them. He was too lazy to know. After parting with Zhu Luo and the others, he began to explore the first heaven by himself. At the same time, he was trying to improve his comprehension of the reincarnation rule. Time passed quickly. 50 years passed in the blink of an eye. The 3-winged kingdom was a relatively strong and prosperous country in the first heaven. It had existed for a very long time. The reason was that Luo Academy, one of the 9 academies in the first heaven, was behind the 3-winged kingdom. In such a prosperous kingdom, there were naturally many gladiatorial arenas. In the largest gladiatorial arena in the three-winged kingdom, whoosh, in the huge gladiatorial arena, there was a deafening noise. Countless spectators were sitting in the audience seats, watching the two people fighting crazily on the battlefield in front of them. In the inner hall of the gladiatorial arena, a few figures gathered together. "Brother Han, it's your turn to fight soon. Are you ready?" A rough voice sounded in the inner hall. "Ha! Brother Han has already won 9 battles in a row in the arena. With such strength, what else do you need to prepare?" Another person's voice sounded. "That's true, but you should still be careful and not be careless. After all, Brother Han's next opponent is Moax, who is a battle maniac. Moreover, he has already won a total of 21 battles in a row in the arena. Brother Han is going to fight with Moax? Damn, why didn't you say so earlier? Moax with Han?" The people of the inner hall immediately gathered. While these people were talking, the one they called Brother Han was sitting quietly at the side, drinking a pot of wine in his hand. When he heard the conversation around him, he did not seem to care at all. Moax. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. He had seen the battle between Moax and others in the gladiator arena. His strength was indeed good, but it was far from enough to attract his attention. 50 years have passed. In these 50 years, my comprehension of reincarnation rules has improved a lot, but now I have reached a bottleneck. This Moax is my last battle in the gladiator arena. I hope he won't disappoint me." Jian Wushuang raised the wine pot in his hand. He drank the entire pot of wine in one gulp. Soon, Jian Wushuang came out. "Han! Han!" As soon as Jian Wushuang entered the battlefield in the center of the arena, the entire arena burst into cheers like a landslide and tsunami. Jian Wushuang had won 9 battles in a row in the same level of the arena, so he was naturally very famous. However, not long after Jian Wushuang entered the battlefield, Missouri Axe also arrived. As soon as Moax appeared, the surrounding cheers were even louder than Jian Wushuang's. The enthusiasm of countless spectators had been ignited. "I've seen you fight with others." A deep voice came from the mouth of the burly man in black armor, who looked like a living fierce beast. A giant black axe appeared in Moax's hand. "Your sword formation is quite powerful, and your movement is very flexible. Unfortunately, it's useless against me." "Really?" Jian Wushuang gave a strange smile. His body moved, and a total of 18 purple longswords floated out. Under Jian Wushuang's control, they formed into one in the blink of an eye. It was a purple magic sword that was 3 meters long. "Go!" Jian Wushuang pointed. Swish! The purple divine sword instantly shot out. Chapter 3093. A strand of black hair schwa, a purple phantom, like a purple ghost, suddenly flashed out, flashing out 2 dazzling purple demonic lights in the air. It's appeared, Han's purple evil weapon. This is the purple evil weapon? It's so fast, and it feels so terrifying. Ha! Purple evil weapon. This is Han's method of becoming famous. Previously, Han relied on this purple evil weapon to win 9 battles in a row in this arena. Numerous exclamations sounded out one after another in the spectating area. When he saw the ghost-like purple evil weapon shooting over explosively, the Moax let out a cold cry, and then he took a swift step forward, and the huge black axe in his hand followed the momentum to descend. The Moax did not look fast, but it struck the purple evil weapon. Clang! With a loud sound, the terrifying power sent the purple evil weapon flying. Die! With a roar, the demon axe appeared in front of Jian Wushuang in 2 steps. Then he swung the black giant axe in his hand. He knew very well that an expert like Han, who controlled the sword formation, would be easily killed by him once he lost the sword formation and got close to him. However, Jian Wushuang had already retreated rapidly when he saw Mo Axe approaching him. Streaks of silver light flashed. When Mo Axe's giant axe fell, Jian Wushuang had already dodged to the side. Mo Axe was not impatient. Han's purple evil weapon and his movement technique were famous in the arena. Only the purple evil weapon and its extremely fast movement technique were qualified to win 9 matches in a row in the arena. Swish! The purple evil weapon flashed and shot toward Mo Axe again. Mo Axe immediately waved his huge axe to block it. Clang! 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 The sound of metal colliding echoed throughout the battlefield. The battle between the two was unusually intense. Jian Wushuang had come to the gladiator arena as a rank 1 true saint, so his divine power had remained at the peak of rank 1 true saint from the first battle until now. His divine power had not increased at all. With the divine power of a rank 1 true saint, he tried his best to control the reincarnation sword formation. He was now using the 6th level of the reincarnation sword formation, which was called Yin Luo. It was an extremely demonic and powerful sword formation. He had already used the power of the sword formation to its maximum. If he took one more step, he would be at the 7th level of the reincarnation sword formation. This devil axe is indeed worthy of being able to win 21 matches in a row in the gladiator arena. His strength is indeed not bad. Jian Wushuang was secretly amazed. In terms of strength, this Mo Axe was probably slightly stronger than Jiu Luo. If Jian Wushuang had used his swordsmanship or the space-time principles, he could have easily defeated this Mo Axe. But now he just wanted to temper his samsara principles and the samsara sword formation. With the 6th level of the samsara sword formation alone, he could not defeat his opponent. Now, the reincarnation sword formation was at an absolute disadvantage in the face of the magic axe. The Mo Axe kept closing in on him, trying to bring him pressure. But this is the only way to make it interesting, Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. He had won 9 matches in a row. The 9 opponents did not pose any threat to him, nor did they have any effect on his reincarnation sword formation. But now, Mo Axe was an excellent opponent for him to train. Kill! Jian Wushuang's killing intent soared to the sky, and he exerted his comprehension of the reincarnation rule to the maximum. Although the purple evil weapon was knocked back by Mo Axe time and time again, it rushed forward again and again. Mo Axe was also very irritable. While crazily repelling the purple evil weapon, he also wanted to keep getting close to Jian Wushuang. Unfortunately, Jian Wushuang's movement skills were compatible with the space-time principles. It was impossible for Mo Axe to get close to him. Clang! 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 The sounds of collisions kept ringing out. In just a moment, the purple evil weapon controlled by Jian Wushuang had collided with Mo Axe's black axe more than hundreds of times. Under such intense collision and pressure, it greatly promoted Jian Wushuang's reincarnation principles. Finally, buzz! Jian Wushuang felt a flash of inspiration in his mind, and the part that had puzzled him about the reincarnation rule suddenly became clear. His comprehension of the reincarnation rule immediately reached a new level. I've made a breakthrough. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. He raised his head and glanced at the extremely violent Mo Axe in front of him, but his eyes turned cold. Buzz! The purple evil weapon that was flying at high speed suddenly disintegrated. After disintegrating, it reassembled again at an extremely fast speed. However, this time, the purple longswords were no longer purple evil weapons, but formed a cross-shaped purple sword. Go! Jian Wushuang flashed a sharp light, and the cross-shaped purple sword suddenly shot out. Swish! The audience only saw a flash of purple light. The purple light was very weak and small, like a needle or, more accurately, a hair. The 7th level of the Samsara sword formation was called a black hair. However, the purple light, which was as small as a hair, was dozens of times faster and more powerful than the purple evil weapon. Each level of the Samsara sword formation was more powerful than the last. The 7th level of the sword formation was naturally much stronger than the 6th level. Jian Wushuang's comprehension of the Samsara principles had reached a new level, and his power had soared again. Get lost! Seeing the purple light shooting toward him, the Mo axe, which had been in a berserk state, wanted to swing the giant axe in his hand to split the purple light. But in the end, clang! The purple light and the black giant axe collided head-on, and the terrifying power instantly changed the direction of the black giant axe's attack. Then, the purple light continued to attack the Mo axe's divine body. Boom! The center of the divine body of the Mo axe caved in, and his body instantly retreated to the edge of the battlefield. It took him a long time to stop again. After he stopped, he raised his head again and looked at Jian Wushuang with a hint of shock. As for the surrounding audience, there was a brief silence, followed by an unprecedented uproar. Cold! 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 The entire arena was cheering Jian Wushuang's name. It was obvious that Jian Wushuang had won this duel. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's face was also filled with joy. Of course, he was not happy because he had defeated his opponent, but because he had made a breakthrough in the reincarnation principle. The reincarnation rule has reached the 3rd stage. The reincarnation sword formation can also be used at the 7th stage. You can leave now. Jian Wushuang smiled. Chapter 3094. Heaven Cleaving Star after the fight, in the void outside the arena. Elder Mo Shan. Jian Wushuang stood in front of Mo Shan. Little guy, I knew you had a high comprehension of the space-time principles and excellent swordsmanship. I didn't expect you to have such high attainments in the reincarnation principles. Your sword formation is also quite extraordinary, Mo Shan said. Senior, did you just see it in the gladiator arena? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes. Mo Shan nodded slightly. Then he said seriously, it's more difficult to comprehend the rules later on. Therefore, 99% of the cultivators in the divine beginning world usually focus on studying one principle. After all, one's energy is limited. If one studies 2 principles at the same time, it's likely that they will be dragged down by each other, which will lower their own achievements. They can only think of other principles after they break through to become a principles master. When you become a principles master, can you study other principles? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course, to become a principles master, you must have completely comprehended and mastered a principle. After mastering this principle, principles masters will find a way to master a second principle in order to increase their strength. After all, to completely master a principle, you can get a rule will. This principle will is extremely powerful. The reason why principles masters are far superior to the immortal saint is because of the existence of this principle will. However, if you can master 2 principles at the same time, you will naturally be able to get 2 sets of the will of principles, and your strength will naturally be stronger, Mo Shan said. Is that so? Jian Wushuang understood. The will of principles. He secretly remembered this, but he also knew that his strength was still too weak. He was still far from completely mastering one principle. Of course, ordinary cultivators don't dare to split their attention at the immortal saint level, but you are different. You are a true genius and a peerless genius. Even if a genius like you comprehended two principles at the same time, the chances of becoming a principles master in the future are very high, Emo Shan said. Jian Wushuang smiled. Well, 80 years have passed, and the heaven-cleaving mystic land is about to open. Come with me to the heaven-cleaving star, Emo Shan said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. Jian Wushuang immediately followed Emo Shan and set off. The Heaven-Cleaving Star Alliance was widely recognized as the #1 freedom alliance in the divine beginning world. Its power was huge and spread throughout every corner of the divine beginning world. In addition to having a large number of secret lairs in the divine beginning world, the Heaven-Cleaving Star Alliance also had 2 lairs. The Heaven-Cleaving Star was one of the lairs of the Heaven-Cleaving Star Alliance, and it was also the location of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces. A large number of genius disciples and some high-level experts of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces lived in the Heaven-Cleaving Star all year round. This is the Heaven-Cleaving Star. Jian Wushuang had already stepped into the Heaven-Cleaving Star through the space passage. As soon as he arrived at the Heaven-Cleaving Star, Jian Wushuang immediately found that this star was different from other places. So strong gravity. I feel that the gravity of this star is at least 100 times stronger than that of other places. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. The gravity was 100 times stronger, which meant that it was 100 times more difficult to move on this star than in other places. If a cultivator stayed in the star for a long time, he would be affected by the gravity all the time and would benefit a lot. You are only at the edge of the star. When you reach the center of the star, the gravity there will be stronger. The gravity will suppress and promote the cultivator. If you stay in the star for a long time, your divine power will increase faster than in other places, and your divine body will be stronger, Emo Shan also said. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. He could feel that the speed at which he accumulated divine power on the star was much faster than in other places. Of course, the gravity is only one of the many opportunities and superior cultivation conditions on the star. The star was moved from the universe battlefield by the Alliance Master of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. It has all kinds of magical abilities. It's a pity that you're not a member of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces. Otherwise, you would be qualified to see them one by one, Emo Shan said. Jian Wushuang shrugged, feeling helpless. Let's go. Emo Shan led Jian Wushuang to the center of the Heaven-Cleaving Star. There were already many people waiting in the center of the star. Most of them were genius disciples of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces. Today was the opening day of the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm. So many disciples of the 3 palaces were attracted to it. Among the crowd, there were all kinds of discussions. After 10,000 years, the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm is finally about to open again. Unfortunately, I'm too weak, so I can't get a spot. The Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm opens once every 10,000 years. Each time, there are only 3 spots. All the geniuses of the 3 palaces add up to hundreds of people. So many people are only fighting for 3 spots. Naturally, only the best 3 people in each era are qualified to enter. As for the others, don't even think about it. 3 quotas? As far as I know, only 2 people from the 3 palaces have been given quotas. What? Only 2 quotas? There was a sudden commotion in the crowd. It's true that there are 2 quotas. These 2 quotas were obtained by the Thorn Tiger and Thunder God of the Primal Chaos Palace. Originally, the Primal Chaos Palace also had a quota, but I heard that the quota of the Primal Chaos Palace was sent out by the 3 palace masters not long ago. Given away to whom? I don't know, but I heard that it wasn't someone from the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces, but an outsider. What? An outsider got a quota to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? How is that possible? What's going on with the three palace masters? Why would they give such a rare and precious quota to an outsider? That's right, such a precious quota. Even the three palaces of heaven slaying felt that it was too little. Why would the three palace masters take the initiative to give it away? Who knows? But there are rumors saying that the person's talent is too incredible, making the three palace lords exclaim in admiration. That's why they gave him a spot. There are also rumors saying that it's because the person has a special background that the three palace lords gave him a spot. Many geniuses of the three palace masters were discussing the spot. While they were discussing, many genius disciples were filled with righteous indignation. Unfair. The three heaven-cleaving palaces are extremely lacking in quotas to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. How can the three palace masters just casually hand over one? That's right. Piercing Tiger and Thunder God are the two top geniuses of the ancient palace. They each received a quota, so we have nothing to say. However, how can an outsider have the qualifications to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? Chapter 3095. Challenge. A large number of geniuses from the heaven-cleaving three palaces were gathered there, and most of them were dissatisfied. Humph! The heaven-cleaving mystic realm is about to open. If nothing unexpected happens, that outsider should also rush to the heaven-cleaving star and enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm with Piercing Tiger and Thunder God. I'd like to see what kind of 3 heads and 6 arms he has to make the three palace masters treat him so well. Many people were aggressive and waiting for the outsider to arrive. Not long after, Jian Wushuang appeared in front of the geniuses of the heaven-cleaving alliance under the guidance of Mo Shan. Master Mo Shan. A top true saint immediately came to Mo Shan, followed by 2 people, Piercing Tiger and Thunder God. One of them had a cold aura, while the other was extremely violent. They first bowed slightly to Mo Shan, then looked directly at Jian Wushuang. Not only them, but many genius disciples from the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces also looked at Jian Wushuang. Is he the outsider? A rank 1 true saint doesn't seem to be anything special. I really don't see anything special about him. I don't know where he got the ability to ask the 3 palace masters to make an exception and give him a slot in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. Discussions immediately broke out. Among the genius disciples of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces, Jian Wushuang also knew some of them. First, there were Mountain King, Evil Master, and Mirage Water. When they saw Jian Wushuang's face clearly, their expressions immediately became very interesting. It's him. It's that pervert. So it's him. No wonder he can get a place to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. The 3 looked at each other in dismay, and their hearts lit up. The 3 of them had fought with Jian Wushuang before, and they had even fought him head-on. That battle was still vivid in their minds. It was in the White Bone region. The 3 of them had joined hands and tried their best, but they were defeated by the man in front of them. The 3 of them had been beaten into submission and had no temper at all. At that time, they had decided that Jian Wushuang was a complete monster. When they found out that the outsider who had obtained the quota to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm was this monster, they could accept it in their hearts. In addition to the 3 of them, Qian Chen, who had once dealt with Jian Wushuang, was also in the crowd. It's him, Heavenly Sword Marquis. Qian Chen stared at Jian Wushuang, but his eyes were shining. When he had completed his mission, he had met Jian Wushuang and fought him head-on. At that time, he had broken through to become a peak false saint, and Jian Wushuang was only a divine master at that time. But in the end, this divine master was on par with him, a peak false saint. After all, he was a genuine genius. He had been in the heaven and earth palace before, But after this competition, he had entered the primitive palace. But he asked himself his talent was not on the same level as Jian Wushuang's. He was definitely not on the same level as Jian Wushuang. In a corner of the crowd, Long Yun and Shui Yu stood together. They looked at each other with a trace of shock in their eyes. It's him. When we met him, we saw that his talent was very high, so he could at least enter the primitive palace and maybe even the chaos palace. But now, he can ask the 3 palace masters to make an exception and give him a place to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. How strong is he now? Long Yun and Shui, you were secretly praising him. Whether it was Mountain King, Evil Master, Mirage Water, Qian Chen, Long Yun, or Shui Yu, they had seen Jian Wushuang's strength with their own eyes and knew a little about his talent. Therefore, when they knew that Jian Wushuang was the outsider who got the spot, they could accept it in their hearts. But the others did not think so. Whoosh! A figure dashed out from the crowd and appeared directly in front of Mo Shan and Jian Wushuang. Lord Mo Shan. The man was wearing a black robe, handsome, and exuded the aura of a rank 1 true saint. Oh, Gutong, what's the matter? Mo Shan looked down. Lord Mo Shan, the person next to you should be the lucky one who got the last quota to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, right? Gutong asked, Lucky person? Mo Shan raised his eyebrows and then said with a smile, Indeed, the last slot belongs to our young friend, Heavenly Sword Marquis. This is the order of the 3 palace masters. No one can disobey it. As expected, Gutong's eyes turned cold and looked directly at Jian Wushuang. Heavenly Sword Marquis, right? Since you can make the 3 palace masters make an exception to give you the slot to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, your strength and talent must be extraordinary. Since we are both rank 1 true saints, I'll challenge you here. I wonder if you dare to accept it. Yes. Gutong emphasized the word dare, which was obviously a bit aggressive. Hearing Gutong's words, Jian Wushuang's expression became strange. He glanced at Mo Shan and asked, Elder Mo Shan, what's going on? Ha! I told you before that the quota to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm is very limited. Even in the 3 palaces of heaven-cleaving mystic realm, there are only 3 slots every 10,000 years. Since you are given 1, there are only 2 slots left in the 3 palaces of heaven-cleaving mystic realm. This will inevitably make some geniuses of the 3 palaces of heaven-cleaving mystic realm unconvinced. Gutong, whom you are seeing now, is from the Chaos Palace and is publicly recognized as the number 1 rank 1 true saint in the 3 palaces of heaven-cleaving mystic realm. Like Piercing Tiger and Thunder God, one is a rank 2 true saint, the other is a rank 3 true saint. They are the strongest among their peers. Without you, Gutong might have gotten the 3rd spot. Mo Shan said softly. Is that so? Jian Wushuang understood. He also knew why Gutong was so angry that he directly came to challenge him. It seemed that the quota he got now was very likely to be his. Heavenly Sword Marquis, don't hide behind Lord Mo Shan. Dare you accept my challenge? Say something, Gutong shouted coldly again. Jian Wushuang still did not answer, while Mo Shan glanced at the peak true saint next to him and asked, How long until the heaven-cleaving mystic realm opens? Your Excellency, there should be an hour left, the peak true saint replied. An hour is plenty of time. My young friend, Heavenly Sword Marquis, you might as well fight with Gutong, so that he will be convinced. Also, let the other disciples of the 3 palaces know that the 3 palace masters gave you the 3rd spot for a reason. Mo Shan said, Chapter 3096, was unstoppable after hearing Mo Shan's words. Jian Wushuang pondered for a moment and nodded slightly. Okay. Seeing Jian Wushuang agree, Gutong was immediately delighted. Let's fight here. Let's go to the Colosseum. No need to go through so much trouble. Let's fight here. Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Okay. Gu Tong's voice was cold, and a majestic divine power immediately surged from his body. Seeing this, the surrounding genius disciples of the heaven-cleaving three palaces immediately retreated to the side and made a space for Jian Wushuang and Gu Tong to fight. There was also a lot of noise in the crowd. Senior brother Gu Tong, teach him a good lesson. Gu Tong, don't embarrass the three heaven-cleaving palaces. They're all rank 1 true saints. You, Gu Tong, are publicly acknowledged as the #1 rank 1 true saint of the three heaven-cleaving palaces. If you lose to an outsider, you'll lose a lot of face. Voices sounded. Most of the disciples of the three heavens-destroying palaces were extremely relaxed. They all thought that Gu Tong would definitely win. This was very normal. After all, they knew Gu Tong's talent and strength. To be able to be called the strongest among the first-level true saints of the heaven-cleaving three palaces, he was definitely one of the best even among the first-level true saints of the divine beginning world. How could such a person be easily defeated by an expert of the same level? However, Mountain King, Evil Master, and Mirage Water, who were in the crowd, did not think so. Gu Tong is going to challenge him. He is courting death. I admit that Gu Tong is very strong, but if we fight him head-on, the three of us can definitely fight him head-on. However, the three of us were completely crushed by him. Mountain King, Evil Master, and Mirage Water all shook their heads and looked at Gu Tong with a trace of pity. In the center of the open space, Jian Wushuang and Gu Tong were facing each other with a certain distance between them. Heavenly Sword Marquis, are you ready? Gu Tong smiled wickedly, and a pitch-black spear appeared in his hand. Under the light, the tip of the spear emitted a heart-palpitating luster. Gu Tong, before we fight, I want to ask you something, Jian Wushuang suddenly said. What is it? Gu Tong asked. Since you are the rank 1 true saint of the three palaces, you must have heard of Xiong Tao of the Dao Palace, right? He is the first rank true saint of the Dao Palace. Have you fought with him before? What was the result? Jian Wushuang asked. Xiong Tao. Gu Tong's eyes narrowed slightly. He said, Xiong Tao's comprehension of principles and Dao is equal to mine. His staff skills are not as good as my spear skills. However, his system is special, so he should be a special life form. His basic divine power can reach the level of a rank 3 true saint. If combined with the secret skill of the Dao Palace, his power can reach the limit of a rank 3 true saint. He is much stronger than me. So, if it's a head-on battle, I should be inferior to him, but he definitely won't be much stronger than me. Gu Tong was a genius and had his own pride, but he was not conceited. He knew himself well. In terms of strength, he was indeed inferior to Xiong Tao. After all, Xiong Tao was a special life form and had a huge innate advantage. Are you still inferior to Xiong Tao? Jian Wushuang shook his head secretly, a trace of disappointment clearly flashing in his eyes. Gu Tong caught the hint of disappointment, which made him extremely angry. Heavenly Sword Marquis, what do you mean? Nothing much. I just want to tell you that I met Xiong Tao not long ago and fought him head-on. He lost to me, Jian Wushuang said directly. What? Gu Tong was stunned. Xiong Tao lost to you? How is that possible? Believe it or not. Jian Wushuang smiled casually. In fact, he did not finish his words. Not only did Xiong Tao lose to him, but he also did not use his full strength. Gu Tong's strength was not even comparable to Xiong Tao, so Jian Wushuang was not interested in him. However, in order to convince the geniuses of the three palaces, he had to fight Gu Tong head-on. All right, cut the crap. If you have any tricks, just show them. Jian Wushuang took out the Blood Mountain sword and waved at Gu Tong. Gu Tong was furious. "Do you think I believe that you really defeated Xiong Tao just because you said it casually? Do you want to scare me with Xiong Tao? What a joke. Take this." With a fierce shout, Gu Tong directly attacked. Boom! A violent aura suddenly burst out from Gu Tong's body, as if a volcano that had been silent for hundreds of millions of years had suddenly erupted. Swish! 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 Many strange figures suddenly flashed, and in an instant dozens of Gu Tong figures appeared in the void in front of Jian Wushuang. Only one of the dozens of figures was real, but this figure had already quietly appeared beside Jian Wushuang. Star Devil Spear. The long spear suddenly stabbed out. The long spear pierced through the void, making a piercing sound, and its power was earth-shaking. Jian Wushuang only felt a chill shoot out from the void next to him. "Your speed is not bad." Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently, but the blood mountain sword in his hand was instantly slashed out. It was the peerless sword technique, Shi Xiang, the extremely powerful sword attack, accompanied by Jian Wushuang's divine power, reached its limit. Even without using any secret skill, Jian Wushuang's divine power had reached the peak of a rank 3 true saint. And the Shi Xiang move was the most powerful move in the peerless sword book. The sword shadow was extremely fierce. It hit the tip of the pitch-black spear like it was lightning. Bang! The tip of the spear was smashed to the side. Gu Tong's hands suddenly moved, and the spear seemed to fall out of his hands. As for his body, he instantly retreated. However, at this time, Jian Wushuang rushed forward. His silver light movement technique burst forth and arrived in front of Gu Tong as if he had teleported. Whoosh! 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 Jian Wushuang waved 9 times in a row and also performed a total of 9 sword moves. However, although he had performed 9 sword moves in one go, it gave people the feeling that he had only performed 1 sword move. It was the 9th heaven of illusionary sword. It was too fast. It was so fast that no one had time to react. Oh no! Gu Tong's expression changed drastically, and he immediately unleashed his spear technique. Swish! 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 One after another, spear shadows followed him like shadows, colliding head-on with Jian Wushuang's crazy sword shadows. However, Gu Tong found that his spear speed was obviously not as fast as Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship. He tried his best to block 8 of the 9 sword moves, but the 9th one hit his divine body directly. Chapter 3097, Mystic Realm Open Bang. The sword light carried a terrifying impact force and instantly sent Gu Tong flying. Gu Tong kept rolling in the air and finally stopped. The geniuses of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces who were watching the battle were all shocked. He lost. He lost so quickly. It was only a split second. How could Gu Tong lose so quickly? Most people found it unbelievable and found it hard to accept the result. At first, they thought Gu Tong would win. After all, Gu Tong was recognized as the strongest expert among the first-level true saints of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces. If Gu Tong had defeated Jian Wushuang in such a split second, they would have thought it was reasonable, but now Gu Tong had lost. They could not accept being defeated by the outsider, Heavenly Sword Marquis, in such a short time. How is it possible? How can your divine power be so strong? And how can your sword be so fast? Gu Tong stared at Jian Wushuang. Is your divine power strong? Is your sword fast? Jian Wushuang could not help but smile in his heart. As a perfect chaotic creature, he was much more advanced than special creatures like Xiong Tao, so it was natural that his divine power was powerful. As for why his swordsmanship was so fast, if it was 50 years ago, when he had just reached the third stage of comprehending the space-time principles, his swordsmanship was not so fast. But in these 50 years, he had not only made great progress in the reincarnation principles, but also in the space-time principles. Now, he was also in the third stage of the space-time principles, but he had made some achievements. In terms of level, his comprehension of the space-time principles should be comparable to that of an ordinary rank 5 true saint. In terms of comprehending the space-time principle at the level of a rank 5 true saint, his speed was very fast. Each sword was stronger than the last. It was already amazing that Gu Tong could block the first 8 swords, but he was not able to block the 9th sword. Naturally, he was defeated. I told you that Xiong Tao was defeated by me. You don't believe me, Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. Gu Tong fell silent. Before the battle, he did not believe that Jian Wushuang could defeat Xiong Tao directly. But after the real battle, he had to believe it. Well, your battle has come to an end. Gu Tong, you should be convinced now. Emo Shan's voice came from the side. Gu Tong took a deep look at Jian Wushuang, but did not say anything more. At first, he was really unconvinced, thinking that the 3 palace masters should not give such a precious spot to an outsider. But now that he had really fought with Jian Wushuang, he was not unconvinced. To put it bluntly, in this world, strength reigned supreme, no matter where. Previously, he thought that Jian Wushuang's strength and talent were not as good as his, but now that he knew that Jian Wushuang's strength was far above his, he had nothing to say. Heavenly Sword Marquis, Piercing Tiger, and Thunder God, you 3 should get ready. The heaven-cleaving mystic realm is about to open, Mo Shan said. Yes. Piercing Tiger and Thunder God immediately nodded. Jian Wushuang also put away his long sword and stood there quietly waiting. Although the geniuses of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces still looked at Jian Wushuang from time to time, they did not have the same discussions and dissatisfaction as before. After all, Jian Wushuang had proven himself with his strength. An hour passed quickly. My lord, we are ready. The peak true saint stood in front of Emo Shan and said respectfully, Well, open it, Emo Shan ordered. Then he waved his hand and took out 3 tokens. These 3 tokens represented the 3 places to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. As Mo Shan threw the 3 tokens into the void in front of them, the void in front of them rippled, and then 3 space passages appeared in front of them. These 3 passages can enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. You 3 can choose which passage to enter. In addition, there are many opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, and any one of them is very precious and rare. As for what opportunities you can get in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, it depends on your luck and luck, Mo Shan said. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang's heart was moved. Obviously, the geniuses who entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm would get different opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. Elder Mo Shan, how long can we stay in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? Jian Wushuang asked. Well, I'm not sure. Mo Shan smiled and said, because everyone gets different opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, and the time spent is also different. But under normal circumstances, you have already got that opportunity, or you have already got more than half of it. But when you can't get more opportunities in the short term, you will be sent out. Is that so? Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. The heaven-cleaving mystic realm is very magical. It's a rare opportunity for the 3 of you to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. Remember to cherish this opportunity. All right, go in. Mo Shan waved his hand. Jian Wushuang, Piercing Tiger, and Thunder God looked at each other. Without hesitation, they each chose a passage and directly entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. With a flash of light, when Jian Wushuang reappeared, he found himself in an extremely strange space. It was gray and full of haziness. With the naked eye, Even the range of 10 palms around him could not be seen clearly. Even if he used his soul power to check, he could only reach a range of 300 meters. Now, when Jian Wushuang used his soul power to spread out, he saw an endless gray airflow. This gray air current was very unique and gave Jian Wushuang a different feeling. Is this a chaotic air current? Jian Wushuang frowned. No, it seems to be more advanced than ordinary chaotic air currents. He could feel the incredible power contained in this gray air current. This power made him very shocked. Elder Emotion said that there are countless opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, and everyone has the same opportunities. But now that I've come to this strange space, where are the opportunities around here? Jian Wushuang was puzzled, but suddenly, buzz, the void suddenly shook, as if the whole world was about to collapse. Jian Wushuang's heart also trembled. Then he saw the endless gray air flow in front of him was pushed away by a strong force. A huge object slowly descended and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. It completely blocked Jian Wushuang's line of sight. This huge object was a huge, boundless black stone pillar. Chapter 3098. Golden words at first glance. The black stone pillar seemed to be infinitely large. In short, Jian Wushuang could not see the edge of the black stone pillar with his perception ability in this space. Such a huge black stone pillar suddenly fell in front of Jian Wushuang, and then there was no more movement. What a huge pillar! Jian Wushuang looked at the black stone pillar with a trace of shock. The surface of the black stone pillar was not smooth. On the contrary, there were all kinds of bumps and bumps. When he walked in and looked at the black crystals that made up the stone pillar, they looked like ordinary iron plates. However, Jian Wushuang knew very well these black crystals were not iron plates, nor were they ordinary refining materials. They were made of a special material that Jian Wushuang had never seen or even heard of. Jian Wushuang reached out and touched the surface of the black stone pillar. Instantly, he felt a chill. At the same time, a terrifying chill struck his heart, causing him to feel a chill in his heart. He was so scared that he immediately withdrew his hand. What is this stone pillar? Jian Wushuang frowned. Then, he raised his head and looked carefully at the top of the stone pillar. When he looked at it, his pupils could not help shrinking. He saw that above the stone pillar was the central area. There were one after another strange golden characters. These golden characters were also very big, like tadpoles twisting together. Each character looked very similar, but they were all different. Looking at these golden characters, Jian Wushuang was even more confused, because he did not know these golden characters at all. After all, he had been to many places in 2 lifetimes and had seen many strange words, but he had never seen such strange words. Most importantly, each of these golden words gave him an extremely ancient feeling and a profound feeling. After carefully counting, there were 32 golden words on the black stone pillar. According to Elder Emotion, anyone who enters the heaven-cleaving mystic realm can get their own opportunities, but the size of the opportunities is different. My opportunities, is it the black stone pillar in front of me, or the 32 golden words on the stone pillar that I can't recognize? Jian Wushuang muttered. After pondering for a moment, Jian Wushuang sat down cross-legged in front of the black stone pillar. Then he began to carefully observe the 32 golden words. He first looked at the first golden word. He looked at it for an hour, but no matter how hard he looked at it with his naked eyes, consciousness, or heart, he could not see anything. There was no change or reaction in the golden word. He frowned and looked at the second golden character, but the result was the same. The third, the fourth, Jian Wushuang had been looking at the 15th golden character from the first golden character for a full hour, but he still could not find anything, until Jian Wushuang looked at the 16th golden character. Huh. Jian Wushuang's expression suddenly changed. He only stared at the 16th golden character. Under his gaze, the golden character did not change at all. However, Jian Wushuang found that there was a certain connection between him and the golden character. It was as if he could communicate with it, just like the strange gold stone that Jian Wushuang had obtained back then. The golden stone looked ordinary at first glance. There was nothing special about it. However, because Jian Wushuang was very talented in the space-time principle, his compatibility with the space-time principle was also very high. Therefore, he could sense the faint space-time power hidden in the golden stone, so he came to the gate of the space-time temple and learned 2 space-time divine skills. Now, Jian Wushuang also sensed an extremely subtle connection from the 16th golden word. What is hidden in this golden word? Jian Wushuang was completely immersed in the golden word. 2 hours, 4 hours. Soon, Jian Wushuang stared at the 16th golden word for 3 days. During this time, the subtle connection between him and the 16th golden word became stronger and stronger. Finally, the 4th day arrived. Boom! A vast message burst out from the 16th golden word and rushed directly into Jian Wushuang's mind. This information was too vast and vast. Not only did it contain all kinds of information, but also a large number of images crazily rushed into his mind. At this moment, even Jian Wushuang felt a sharp pain in his head and almost fainted. But in the end, he still endured the pain with great difficulty and tried his best to accept the information. Time passed. 10 days passed in a flash. During these 10 days, Jian Wushuang endured unprecedented pain in his mind every day. The pain was extremely intense. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang's will was tough, and his heart was like a rock. If it were an ordinary true saint, he could not bear the pain anymore. During these 10 days, the vast information from the 16th golden word finally entered Jian Wushuang's mind. At this moment, the pain in Jian Wushuang's mind gradually eased. Phew! Jian Wushuang had just exhaled, but he did not have time to relax. The 16th golden character on the pitch-black stone pillar began to wriggle like a tadpole, and in the end, it completely came to life. The golden character had already detached from the black stone pillar, and then slowly floated toward Jian Wushuang. When it reached Jian Wushuang, the golden character began to shrink and finally landed on the back of Jian Wushuang's right hand. It had completely merged with his right hand. When the golden divine body merged with Jian Wushuang's right hand, Jian Wushuang instantly fell into a very strange state. This state was ethereal, but Jian Wushuang could clearly feel it. In this state, a large amount of information from the golden words began to appear in front of him. Jian Wushuang also began to be immersed in this vast information. He did not know that while he was immersed in this state, the golden words on the back of his right hand, which had shrunk countless times, were shining with a layer of dazzling golden light in all directions. As if they were affected by this golden light, the large amount of gray airflow around Jian Wushuang crazily attacked Jian Wushuang. The large amount of gray airflow completely enveloped Jian Wushuang's divine body. A burst of powerful devouring power naturally erupted from Jian Wushuang's body, crazily devouring the gray airflow and then transforming it. This step happened naturally in Jian Wushuang's own unconsciousness. He did not even know about it. Chapter 3099, Strength Sword. Jian Wushuang, who was completely immersed in the vast information, had long forgotten the passage of time. For Jian Wushuang, what he needed to do now was to completely digest the vast information. He did not care about anything else. The information was too vast and majestic. He did not know how long it took, but he finally completely digested the information. At the same time, He also figured out what the information was. It was a secret skill, an extremely powerful secret skill. Jian Wushuang did not know how powerful this secret skill was, but there were a lot of images contained in the information. Those images were the scenes of the secret skill, but from the images, it was incredibly powerful. In Jian Wushuang's opinion, this secret skill should not be weaker than the space-time divine skill. 6 paths of reincarnation. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes and said these words. This was the name of the secret skill. This secret skill was named after reincarnation. So it was obviously a secret skill related to the rules of reincarnation. Like the space-time divine skill, the 6 paths of reincarnation requires a very high level of comprehension of the rules of reincarnation. The higher the comprehension, the more powerful the secret skill will be. My comprehension of the rules of reincarnation has reached the 3rd stage, and while I was digesting the information of this secret skill, my comprehension of the principles of reincarnation has greatly improved. Now, my comprehension of the principles of reincarnation seems to have surpassed the comprehension of the principles of space-time, and has reached the threshold of the first move of the 6 paths of reincarnation, Hell Dao. However, although I have received the complete inheritance of the 6 paths of reincarnation secret skill, I only have the memory and images of this secret skill. I have to carefully study and comprehend it before I can truly master it. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Taking a deep breath, Jian Wushuang was about to get up, but suddenly his eyes widened. This is... A trace of dullness flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes, and he was also extremely shocked at this moment. He had just been immersed in the 6 paths of reincarnation secret skill, so he had no idea what was happening in the outside world. However, when he came back to his senses, he immediately noticed the changes in himself. The biggest change was his cultivation realm. After all, when he entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, his realm was only at the level of a rank 1 true saint. At most, he was at the peak of the 1st level. Although his comprehension of the principles and Tao was very high, reaching the level of the immortal saint was not like the divine master level, where he could directly break through by absorbing a large amount of divine power, 1 step at a time. Every realm had a huge bottleneck. Therefore, even though Jian Wushuang had stayed at the level of a rank 1 true saint for a long time, he had not been able to break through to a rank 2 true saint. It was not that he did not look like one, but he had not found the opportunity to break through. But now, Jian Wushuang felt that the divine power flowing in his body was many times stronger than before. It was obvious that he had broken through. And it was not as simple as breaking through from a rank 1 true saint to a rank 2 true saint. Instead, he had directly broken through from a rank 1 true saint to a rank 3 true saint. Right at this moment, the divine power aura emanating from his body had reached the level of a rank 3 true saint. Rank 3 true saint? Jian Wushuang was shocked. He was only a rank 1 true saint, but in the blink of an eye, he had become a rank 3 true saint. What's going on? Jian Wushuang immediately began to investigate his changes. Soon, he found the miniature version of the golden words on the back of his right hand. The golden words are on the back of my hand. Jian Wushuang's expression became even more strange. He was completely confused. After a long while, he shook his head and said, "Whatever. Regardless of the reason, my current realm has indeed reached the level of a rank 3 true saint, and my divine power is much stronger than before." Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. He could feel the explosive power in his hands. Before, he was a rank 1 true saint, but because of his perfect chaotic divine body, his divine power was comparable to that of a peak rank 3 true saint. But now he was a genuine rank 3 true saint. So his divine power, boom, Jian Wushuang punched out, and a terrible gust of wind instantly sounded. His fist smashed into the void in front of him, making a sudden explosion, and the surrounding world shook. So powerful! Although I haven't fought with a rank 5 true saint, I feel that my divine power is definitely comparable to an ordinary rank 5 true saint. Jian Wushuang's eyes were shining with excitement. The reason why he was not at the peak of rank 5 was that the further he advanced, the greater the gap in strength. When Jian Wushuang was a rank 1 true saint, his divine power was comparable to that of a rank 3 true saint. However, when he was a rank 3 true saint, his divine power was only comparable to an ordinary rank 5 true saint, which was already quite ridiculous. If he used the 7-star secret skill, the Divine Punishment God, and the 9 luminary star armor, his divine power would be 10 times stronger. It was estimated that his divine power would not be much weaker than that of a rank 6 true saint. I didn't expect that my trip to the heaven-cleaving mystic realm would not only greatly improve my comprehension of the samsara principles and obtain the extremely powerful secret skill, the 6 paths of reincarnation, but also increase my realm and my overall strength by so much. Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised. If he were to cultivate normally, it would take him at least hundreds of years or even thousands of years to break through from a rank 1 true saint to a rank 3 true saint. But now, the time in between had been completely omitted. No wonder so many geniuses of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces are so eager to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. The opportunity of the heaven-cleaving mystic realm is indeed incredible. I don't know what level the opportunity one have now belongs to, Jian Wushuang thought. He did not know what level the opportunity he had obtained belonged to among all the geniuses who entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. But according to his own estimation, his luck should be very good. That was because the 6 paths of reincarnation secret skill alone was a great opportunity in his eyes. Buzz. A unique will suddenly transmit it over, causing Jian Wushuang's body and mind to tremble. This will came from the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. I've already obtained my opportunity. Do you want me to leave? Jian Wushuang muttered, without the slightest bit of regret. Behind him, space and time swirled, and a space passage appeared out of thin air. Jian Wushuang took a deep look at the black stone pillar in front of him. There were 32 golden characters on the black stone pillar, but now there were only 31 left. Those 31 golden characters should contain great opportunities, but I don't know who will get them in the future. With a faint smile, Jian Wushuang stepped into the space passage and disappeared. Chapter 30-100. Black divine pillar in the open space in the center of the heaven-cleaving star. The geniuses of the 3 palaces had left long ago. Now, only the peak true saint was waiting there. So, a figure suddenly landed. Lord Emo Shan. The peak true saint bowed respectfully. Heavenly Sword Marquis, you haven't come out yet? Emo Shan looked over. Yes. The peak true saint nodded. It's been 60 years. This kid has been in heaven-cleaving mystic realm for a long time. I'm afraid no one has been in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm longer than him, Emo Shan said. In the history of the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, the longest time spent in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm has only been 42 years. As for the 3 people who entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm this time, Piercing Tiger only stayed in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm for 3 years before coming out. Thunder God stayed for 12 years, but none of them lasted as long as Heavenly Sword Marquis. The peak true saint added, the longer I stay in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, the more opportunities I'll get under normal circumstances. I just don't know what kind of opportunities this little guy got in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, Emo Shan muttered. There were countless opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, but no one in the outside world knew what kind of opportunities the people who entered had. Right at this time, Wang, the void in front of them suddenly trembled, and then a space passage slowly appeared in front of Emo Shan and the peak true saint, finally coming out. Emo Shan's eyes lit up. Not long after the space passage appeared, a figure slowly stepped out of the space passage. This figure was undoubtedly Jian Wushuang, Elder Emo Shan. Jian Wushuang had just come out of the heaven-cleaving mystic realm when he saw Emo Shan in front of him. "Ha, my friend, you finally came out of the heaven-cleaving mystic realm." Emo Shan greeted him with a smile. Finally, Jian Wushuang's expression changed. "Senior, do you mean that I have stayed in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm for a long time?" "A whole 60 years. Do you think it's a long time?" Emo Shan asked with interest. 60 years. Jian Wushuang was stunned. In the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, he was completely immersed in the vast information of the 6 paths of reincarnation's secret skill. He had long forgotten the passage of time. In that state, he felt that it had not been long, but he did not expect that it had been 60 years. "My friend, you have stayed in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm for 60 years. You must have gained a lot, right?" Emo Shan looked at him. "I have." Jian Wushuang smiled. Then his body shook, and a strong divine power aura burst out. "This is a rank 3 true saint." Emo Shan stared at him. "You actually broke through from a rank 1 true saint to a rank 3 true saint in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm." Emo Shan was also quite surprised. After all, it was very difficult to break through every level when one's strength reached the level of a true saint. Under normal circumstances, it would take a long time to break through from a rank 1 true saint to a rank 3 true saint. "My friend, what kind of opportunity did you get in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm?" Emo Shan could not help asking. Jian Wushuang pondered for a moment, but he said directly, "After I entered the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, I came to a strange space surrounded by a large amount of gray airflow. Not long after, a huge black stone pillar appeared in front of me. There were some strange golden words on the black stone pillar." "Black stone pillar? Golden words?" Emo Shan and the peak true saint next to him looked at each other. The next moment, both of them were shocked. "Heaven-reaching divine pillar." "Yes, it's the black divine pillar." Emo Shan and the peak true saint both cried out in surprise. "My friend, you actually saw the black divine pillar?" Emo Shan's expression was very interesting. "Black divine pillar? I think so." "Why, is the black divine pillar so amazing?" Jian Wushuang asked calmly. "Of course it's amazing." Emo Shan said immediately, "There are countless opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, and these opportunities vary in size and are extremely precious. But if the biggest opportunity in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm is undoubtedly the black divine pillar, the Alliance Master brought it back from a special place in the universe battlefield a long time ago. It's said that this black divine pillar contains a big secret, and in the center of the divine pillar are ancient golden characters. No one can recognize those golden characters, but each golden character contains a big opportunity. My friend, since you saw those golden words, you must have tried to comprehend them, right? Emo Shan stared at Jian Wushuang. Of course. I got a complete secret skill by communicating with one of the golden words, Jian Wushuang said directly. Sure enough, Emo Shan smiled. Each of those golden words contains an extremely powerful secret skill that can reach the heavens. Generally, as long as the conditions are right, you can more or less comprehend some of them before Emo Shan could finish his words. He suddenly thought of something. He immediately looked at Jian Wushuang and asked, My friend, what did you say? Did you get a complete secret skill? Complete secret skill? The true saint beside him was also surprised. It's a complete secret skill. Why? Jian Wushuang asked in puzzlement. Are you sure it's complete? Mo Shan was in disbelief. Of course. Jian Wushuang smiled. Besides, after I got the complete secret skill, the golden words were printed on my hand. Look. Jian Wushuang stretched out his right hand, with the back of his hand facing Mo Shan. On the back of his right hand, there was a very obvious golden word. Mo Shan was completely stunned. Even the golden word was printed on your hand. You actually got a complete secret skill. Elder Mo Shan, from your words, is it strange that you obtained a complete secret skill? Jian Wushuang could not help asking. Of course it's strange. Mo Shan's expression became serious. My friend, you don't know? Since the creation of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, who knows how many years have passed, and the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm has existed for a long time. During this period, the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm will open every 10,000 years. Every time it opens, 3 geniuses will enter. After so many years, the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance has opened countless times. There are also countless geniuses who have entered the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm. However, over the years, among the geniuses who had entered the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm, only 8 of them were lucky enough to see the Black Divine Pillar. Even if you were included, there were only 9 of them. And among the 8 people before you, they all comprehended a secret technique from the golden characters on the Black Divine Pillar, but most of the secret techniques they comprehended were incomplete. In most cases, they could only obtain about 30 to 40% of a secret technique. Even the most powerful ones could only comprehend 70% of a secret technique. Chapter 3101, Inquiry _ Over the years, only 8 people have seen the Black Divine Pillar, and the most powerful person has only comprehended 70% of a secret skill. Jian Wushuang was stunned. He finally knew why Mo Shan was so shocked. It seemed that no one had ever comprehended a complete secret skill under the Black Divine Pillar. My friend, do you know who has comprehended 70% of a secret skill under the Black Divine Pillar? Mo Shan asked with a smile. Who is it? Jian Wushuang asked. It's one of the 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces, Palace Master Shuiyun. Mo Shan said. Jian Wushuang was shocked. Although he had not really entered the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces, he had heard from Mo Shan that the 3 palace masters were very powerful. The 3 palace masters of the Heaven-Cleaving 3 palaces were super existences in the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, second only to the mysterious master. They had great power and status in the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. Although Jian Wushuang did not know how powerful the 3 palace masters were, he could guess that they were definitely at the top of the divine beginning world. Perhaps for some special reasons they were not as strong as the 3 most noble masters of the Saint Realm in the 3rd heaven, but they were definitely not much weaker. Such a super existence had only comprehended 70% of a secret skill under the Black Divine Pillar. Palace Master Shuiyun is a true genius. He was once one of the genius disciples of the 3 palaces of Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm. When he was under the Black Divine Pillar of the Heaven-Cleaving Mystic Realm, he comprehended 70% of that secret skill. That secret skill became his famous ultimate move in the future. Until now, his secret skill has been well known in the divine beginning world. Many people immediately thought of his move when they mentioned Palace Master Shuiyun. It can be said that the reason why Palace Master Shuiyun is so famous in the divine beginning world and why so many people are afraid of him is largely because of his secret skill. However, he has only comprehended 70% of that secret skill. Mo Shan exclaimed. Jian Wushuang could not help taking a deep breath. Palace Master Shuiyun had also comprehended 70% of the secret skill from the golden characters in the Black Divine column, but he had already achieved such a great reputation. But now, he had obtained a complete secret skill, 6 Paths Reincarnation. When I was in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm, I knew that this secret skill was very terrifying, even comparable to the space-time divine skill. Now it seems that I did not underestimate this secret skill. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, feeling a trace of surprise in his heart. He had indeed picked up a treasure this time. In any case, you were able to obtain a complete secret skill under the Black Divine Pillar. This luck and fortune is indeed unprecedented. Congratulations, little guy, Emoshan said with a smile. Jian Wushuang smiled, but suddenly his expression changed. Elder Emoshan, I have already been to the heaven-cleaving mystic realm and obtained the opportunity. If nothing goes wrong, I will leave the heaven-cleaving star soon. But before that, I want to ask you something. What is it? Emoshan appeared to be very patient. Senior, you should know about the Supreme Emotion Valley, right? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, I know. Emoshan nodded. Although the sect is in the second heaven and is not in the highest third heaven, the reputation and strength of the sect is no less than those overlords in the third heaven. Of course, I know about such a powerful sect. Why? Are you asking about the relationship between the Supreme Emotion Valley and the Supreme Emotion Valley? A little. Jian Wushuang nodded. Senior, can you tell me about the Supreme Emotion Valley in detail, including their overall strength and the cultivation techniques they practice? Overall strength. Emoshan raised his eyebrows. I have just told you that the overall strength of the Supreme Emotion Valley is no less than some overlords in the third heaven, the 3 holy regions, the 4 divine clans, and the octagonal heaven sect. Although the Supreme Emotion Valley is not as powerful as the 3 holy regions and the 4 divine clans, it is not much weaker than the octagonal heaven sect. In terms of experts, there are more than 10 known principles masters in the Supreme Emotion Valley. There are also some guest elders who have accumulated all kinds of human relationships over the years. Of course, in the Supreme Emotion Valley, the one who is the scariest, even the 3 great holy regions, the 4 great celestial races, and even our heaven-cleaving alliance are afraid of, is the reclusive old valley master in the Supreme Emotion Valley. Although the old valley master hasn't asked for the truth for a long time, her strength is very terrifying. How terrifying? Jian Wushuang asked. It's not inferior to the 3 palace masters of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces. Moreover, if that old woman really goes crazy, even if the 3 palace masters of the heaven-cleaving alliance come personally, they will have to avoid her, because the divine skill she has mastered is too powerful. If she recklessly uses that divine skill, she can pose a threat to even a Saint Realm Master, Emoshan said. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. He had long known that there was a very terrifying divine skill in the valley. Lung Rushuang had been taken away by the valley because she was suitable to cultivate that divine skill. Senior Emoshan, I heard that most of the disciples of the valley have to abandon their feelings? Jian Wushuang asked again. Yes. Emoshan nodded. Both the disciples and the experts of the Supreme Emotion Valley have no partners. This has something to do with the cultivation method and some secret skills cultivated by the Supreme Emotion Valley, especially the divine skill cultivated by the Old Valley Master, which can't be touched at all. But even wild beasts have some feelings, let alone humans. Therefore, there are too few people in this world who are suitable to cultivate that divine skill. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang could not help clenching his hands. My young friend, it seems that you have not only a dispute with the Supreme Emotion Valley, but also a big one, right? Emoshan looked at Jian Wushuang. Seeing that Jian Wushuang was silent, Emotion continued. My young friend, no matter what grudges you have with the Supreme Emotion Valley, I have to remind you not to be impulsive. The Supreme Emotion Valley is very strong, and most of the people there are cold, ruthless, and decisive. With your current strength, you are nothing in front of the Supreme Emotion Valley. I know. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. Then he asked, Senior Emotion, one last question. If I want to have a fair conversation with them, what level do I have to reach? A fair conversation with them? Emotion frowned and pondered for a moment. Then he answered, At the very least, you have to be an invincible immortal saint to make them not dare to underestimate you. As for a fair conversation, the Lord of Principles. Chapter 3102, 3 Palace Masters _ the Principles Master. Jian Wushuang clenched his fists tightly. Only the Principles Master was qualified to have a face-to-face conversation with the Supreme Emotion Valley. However, Long Rushuang was the second person whom the Supreme Emotion Valley had spent a long time and effort to find who could cultivate the supreme divine skill. She was too important to the valley. The valley would not let Jian Wushuang take such an important person away, even if he was a Principles Master. After all, a Principles Master could only talk to the valley face-to-face, but he could not make the valley fear him. If he wanted to take Long Rushuang away, he had to at least have the strength to make the valley fear him. Jian Wushuang conservatively estimated that he had to at least reach the strength of the 3 palace masters of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces. I'm only a rank 3 true saint now. I'm still far from that level. Jian Wushuang's face was cold, but he was not discouraged at all. Thank you for telling me, Elder Emotion, Jian Wushuang said gratefully. You're welcome. Emotion waved his hand and then looked at the peaked true saint next to him. Take this little guy away. Yes. The peaked true saint immediately went forward to take Jian Wushuang away. Emotion watched Jian Wushuang leave and sighed. Send this little guy away and I can report back. In an extremely magnificent palace, there were tall steps on top of the palace. At the top of the steps, 3 thrones stood side by side. There was a blurry figure on each of the thrones. It was the 3 palace masters. Below the palace, Missouri Shan stood respectfully and said, Palace Master, the little guy has left the heaven-cleaving star. Has he left? A low voice came from the throne in the center. How long has he stayed in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm? What opportunities did he get? Emotion immediately told the truth about Jian Wushuang's opportunities in the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. It included the breakthrough in Jian Wushuang's strength and the fact that he had comprehended a complete secret skill under the Black Divine Pillar. After hearing Emotion's words, the 3 palace masters' expressions remained unchanged. All right, you may leave, the palace master in the center said. Yes. Emotion nodded and disappeared from the palace with a slight shake of his body. After Emotion left, the 3 palace masters began to chat casually. You actually obtained the inheritance of a complete secret technique under the Black Divine Pillar. Shui Yun, this little fellow is even more powerful than you, right? The palace master sitting in the middle teased. I obtained the secret technique Monarch Water under the Black Divine Pillar back then, and I've benefited immensely from it ever since. Even now, this secret technique is still my strongest technique. Unfortunately, I've only comprehended 70% of this secret technique back then. If I could obtain the complete secret technique, my strength would be able to rise to another level. At that time, I wouldn't be afraid even if I were to fight a Saint Realm Master directly, the Palace Master on the left said. Only Palace Master Shuiyun sighed. This secret technique of yours is indeed very terrifying. It might not be comparable to the divine technique of that old woman from the Supreme Emotion Valley, but it is not too far off either. The secret technique that this little fellow named Heavenly Sword Marquis obtained from the Black Divine Pillar's golden characters should not be inferior to your secret technique, Monarch Water, said the Palace Master on the right. That's for sure. Palace Master Shuiyun nodded slightly. This little fellow obtained a complete secret technique from the Black Divine Pillar. Furthermore, the talent and strength he displayed now are much stronger than mine. In terms of talent and potential, he is much more outstanding than me. If he doesn't die midway, he might be able to step into the peak and be on par with the three of us. It's still too early to talk about this. After all, the birth of a true expert requires many conditions. Talent and potential are just one of them. There are so many geniuses and monsters in our heaven-cleaving 3 palaces, but how many of them can actually reach the peak? Not to mention the peak. Even those who can become principal's masters are pitifully few. The palace master in the center shook his head and said. The other 2 palace masters also nodded. There were too many people on the road to the peak. However, how many people could stay on the road without falling down? The 3 of them were very old. They had been the palace masters of the 3 palaces for many years and had seen countless geniuses. They had long become numb to some geniuses. Even an incredible genius like Jian Wushuang only caught their attention a little, and they did not take it to heart. The path to the peak cannot be taken just like that. However, this little fellow named Heavenly Sword Marquis is indeed special. Not only is his talent incredible, but he actually won the favor of that person, the palace master in the center suddenly said. At the mention of that person, the other 2 palace masters' expressions also became strange. The 3 of them were not very interested in Jian Wushuang before. Even if Jian Wushuang's talent was incredible, they would not care too much about it, nor would they directly give him a spot to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. The reason was because of that guy. I don't know what kind of luck this little guy has to make that guy care so much about him. He even asked us to give him a spot to enter the heaven-cleaving mystic realm. We gave him a spot by force under the condition that many people were dissatisfied with him. Is it because of his talent that that guy paid special attention to him? It can't be that serious, right? Palace Master Shuiyun said in a strange tone. Even the 3 of them did not care much about geniuses, let alone that person. Who knows? In any case, since that person has already given the order, then the 3 of us just have to do as he says. The palace master at the center said helplessly, All right, let's not talk about this. Let's talk about another matter. Not long ago, I received news that the number 1 genius of the Dao Palace, Xiong Tao, was assassinated, and the person who made the move was the Grand Master of the Sorcerer God Sect, the Long Xing. The palace master on the right suddenly said, Sorcerer God Sect. Humph. Looks like this Sorcerer God Sect has completely become the lackey of the 3 great holy regions. I wonder what that old Sorcerer God is thinking. Palace Master Shuiyun's voice was ice cold, and there was a trace of killing intent in his eyes. I don't know what that old Sorcerer God is thinking, but the 3 great holy regions, the 3 great saint realm masters, took advantage of the temporal temple master and the heavenly ancestor to go to the cosmic battlefield. Now, they are acting more and more unscrupulously. Aren't they just relying on the existence of the heavenly Tao? Well, behind them, what the heck? The palace master in the middle cursed in a low voice. Will of the heavenly Tao. Humph. Sooner or later, my heaven-cleaving alliance will go against the heavenly Tao and kill this heavenly Tao. Chapter 3103. Easy mission after leaving the heaven-cleaving star. Jian Wushuang returned to the first heaven, but his mood was quite heavy. The Supreme Emotion Valley is extremely powerful. If I want to take Shuang air away, I need to have the strength of the 3 palace masters of the heaven-cleaving 3 palaces, but am still far from that level. My strength is still too weak after all. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands tightly. It took him a long time to calm down. The trip to the heaven-cleaving mystic realm not only allowed me to obtain the secret skill's 6 paths of reincarnation, but also increased my strength greatly. I've reached the level of a rank 3 true saint and made so many breakthroughs in my realm. Then my strength should be in a leap period now, Jian Wushuang muttered. Previously, he was only a first-level true saint, but whether it was his comprehension of the principles, understanding of the Tao, or even in the absolute arts, he was far beyond his realm. Because he was far beyond his realm, it caused his improvement speed to become slower and slower. For example, when the water in the water bottle was full, it was naturally impossible to continue filling it. However, it would be completely different if he replaced it with a big water bottle. Once Jian Wushuang broke through his realm and broke through 2 realms at the same time, his comprehension of the principles and Tao would naturally have a lot of room for improvement. Moreover, he had just broken through, so the improvement was usually very fast. That was why it was called the leap period. Now I can find a place to concentrate on improving my strength. It would be best if I have some proper training. Jian Wushuang smiled, and suddenly his expression changed. It's been a long time since I've completed a mission of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. Let's go and take a look. Jian Wushuang immediately set off. The secret lair of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance was located in every corner of the divine beginning world. Naturally, there were many in the first heaven. Jian Wushuang easily found one of the secret lairs. In the secret lairs, Jian Wushuang sat alone at the table with a list of heaven-level missions in his hand. There were countless heaven-level tasks on the list. It's no wonder that there are so many heaven-level tasks in the first heaven. Jian Wushuang sighed and began to read carefully. One heaven-level task after another passed through Jian Wushuang's eyes. These heaven-level tasks varied in difficulty from 1 star to 3 stars, so the rewards were naturally different. Jian Wushuang carefully searched for nearly an hour on this list of missions, and finally found a mission that was more suitable for him. This mission was a heaven-level 2-star mission. Under normal circumstances, only a true saint above rank 4 could complete a heaven-level 2-star mission alone. However, the heaven-level 2-star mission that Jian Wushuang chose did not specify the number of people. In other words, whether it was 1 person or 10 people, they could complete the mission. As for the content of the mission, it was to go to a country and serve as a guard for 100 years. A guard mission? Jian Wushuang looked at the mission content with interest. From the information given by the mission, it was said to be a guard mission, but in fact, it was just a helper hired by others. In addition, it did not need to do anything on a daily basis, as long as it was at a critical time. In addition, the mission did not require him to run around. When he had nothing to do, Jian Wushuang could cultivate on his own, and no one would care about him. In other words, the mission was more comfortable and free. As for the reward, it was not low, but Jian Wushuang did not care about the reward. Let's do this mission. Jian Wushuang made up his mind. He immediately accepted the mission and went directly to that country. The true martial kingdom was the most ordinary country among the countless countries in the first heaven. This country was an independent country. In other words, there were no sects or forces behind it. The founder of the true martial kingdom was a powerful rank 6 true saint who had a large number of experts under his command. His overall strength was extraordinary. With a rank 6 true saint overseeing this country for many years, the true martial kingdom had lived in peace. However, 300 years ago, the king of the true martial kingdom had gone out once. After that, there had been no more news. In other words, this king of the true martial kingdom had gone missing. And in a place like the divine beginning world, which was filled with killing, he had gone missing without any reason. It was very likely that he had fallen. Thus, when there was a disturbance in the Zhenwu country, it was inevitable that a new king would be needed to clean up this mess. However, the high-level experts in the true martial kingdom had different opinions on the choice of the new king. Gradually, two major factions formed. One was the third prince's faction, and the other was the sixth prince's faction. The two factions had been fighting for years, so the king's position had not been decided. It was a huge and magnificent mansion, which was where the sixth prince of the true martial kingdom lived. "Is this the place?" Jian Wushuang stood in the void and looked down at the mansion. He was wearing a gray robe, but he did not wear a gray mask. However, he deliberately disguised his appearance. Without hesitation, he appeared in front of the huge mansion. "Halt!" As soon as Jian Wushuang appeared at the gate of the mansion, a loud shout was heard, and then dozens of figures surrounded him. All of them were experts above the true saint realm and were staring at Jian Wushuang. "My name is Heavenly Sword Marquis. I'm from the Heaven Cleaving Alliance. I came here because I received a heaven-grade mission from the Heaven Cleaving Alliance." Jian Wushuang explained his purpose of coming, and also revealed his divine power aura. "Someone from the Heaven Cleaving Alliance." The guards looked at Jian Wushuang deeply, and one of them said, "Please wait a moment. I'll go and report it immediately." After a while, a red-robed elder walked out. "I'm Yuan Chong, one of the servants of the sixth prince. Since you're from the Heaven Cleaving Alliance, please show me your identity token," the red-robed elder said. Jian Wushuang took a look at the red-robed elder. Although the latter's aura was very gentle, Jian Wushuang could tell at a glance that he was a true saint expert who had reached the peak of rank 4. "This is my identity token." Jian Wushuang handed his identity token to the red-robed elder, Yuan Chong. Yuan Chong took it, glanced at it, and nodded slightly. "Sir, please come in." Under the guidance of Yuan Chong, Jian Wushuang entered the huge mansion. As soon as he stepped into the mansion, Jian Wushuang immediately sensed that there were a lot of experts' auras hidden in the mansion. There are so many experts. There seem to be dozens of them, who are rank 3 true saints and above. There are even rank 4 true saints and rank 5 true saints in this mansion. Jian Wushuang revealed a surprised look. Chapter 3104. Prince Qing __. Did you sense the aura of the experts in this mansion? Yuan Chong looked at Jian Wushuang. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. The sixth prince and the third prince have been fighting for a long time, and I'm afraid that the result will be decided soon. To put it bluntly, it's a competition of fists. The third prince is very skillful and has gathered a large number of experts under his command. The sixth prince had no choice but to spend a great representative to invite many experts to help him. Yuan Chong said, "All the experts in the mansion were invited by the sixth prince from the Heaven Cleaving Alliance." Jian Wushuang asked, puzzled. Nearly half of them were invited from the Heaven Cleaving Alliance, some from other places, but some are loyal to the sixth prince, such as the Purple Blood Camp, the most elite force under the sixth prince. "And me," Yuan Chong added. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He had so many experts under his command, but the sixth prince had paid a great price to invite so many experts to help him. It seemed that the battle between him and the third prince was indeed very fierce. Soon, Yuan Chong brought Jian Wushuang to a separate courtyard. "Your Excellency, since you accepted the Heaven Cleaving Alliance's heaven-level task, you should know what to do. I don't need to say more. This is my message token. If you have nothing to do, I hope you can stay in the mansion. As for what to do in the mansion, you can do as you please. But once I send a message to you, I hope you can immediately appear in front of me." Yuan Chong handed a message token to Jian Wushuang. "Got it." Jian Wushuang nodded. Yuan Chong soon left. After Yuan Chong left, Jian Wushuang waved his hand and set up a layer of restriction around the courtyard where he lived. This layer of restriction was to prevent him from being disturbed while he was meditating and cultivating. After that, he began to cultivate quietly in the courtyard. His strength was now in a leap period. Even if he cultivated quietly, the speed of improvement was astonishing, especially in sword principle and swordsmanship. His peerless sword manual and 7 sword moves had all reached the peak of level 4, but his comprehension of space-time principles and swordsmanship was comparable to that of a rank 5 true saint. Naturally, he could think of a way to upgrade all 7 sword moves to the level of a rank 5 absolute art. Time passed. 6 years passed in a row. During these 6 years, the mansion was very quiet and nothing happened. Most of the experts invited back by the 6th prince were still abiding by the rules in the mansion, and no one messed around. Until this day, buzz. A message token in Jian Wushuang's interspatial ring vibrated. It was from Yuan Chong. Finally, something happened. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, stood up, and rushed to the drill ground in the center of the mansion. On the drill ground, Jian Wushuang found that not only him, but all the experts invited by the 6th prince had arrived. There were nearly 100 people at a glance. Among the nearly 100 people, the lowest realm was a true saint at the peak of rank 2, and there were only 2 of them. Most of them were between rank 3 and rank 4 true saints. As for rank 5 true saints, there was only one who was present. This was easy to understand. Reaching rank 5 was considered a high-level true saint. If one reached rank 6, he could even be called a top true saint. In the true martial kingdom, even the strongest founder only had the cultivation of a rank 6 true saint. There were only a few rank 5 true saints in the entire true martial kingdom. Although the 6th prince offered a lot of rewards and costs, the rewards he offered were hard to tempt some rank 5 true saints and above. It was already his luck to have a rank 5 true saint invited by him. So many people are gathered here. I wonder what they are going to do. Jian Wushuang stood in the crowd. He was a rank 3 true saint, so he did not stand out among the many true saint experts on the drill ground. Suddenly, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 figures suddenly landed in the center of the drill ground. The one on the left of the 3 was the red-robed elder Yuan Chong. However, Yuan Chong was standing behind the other 2 respectfully. The 2 people were a man and a woman. The man was young but extremely handsome. He was wearing a luxurious long robe and had his hands behind his back. He gave off the aura of a superior. As for the woman, she was dressed rather plainly. However, even her plain clothes could not hide her beautiful face. Moreover, her noble aura was enough to make people dream about her. This woman was indeed extremely mesmerizing. When many people present saw that woman, they could not help but raise their throats. Everyone, let me introduce to you. These 2 are the 6th prince and the Qing prince. Yuan Chong opened his mouth to introduce. Qing prince. Is she Qing prince? Indeed, she lives up to her name. Immediately, a wave of whispers sounded around them. Although they were all invited by the 6th prince, and the 6th prince was likely to be the next king of the Zhenwu kingdom, at this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on the 6th Prince Qing. No one cared about the 6th prince. Jian Wushuang could not help glancing at the 6th Prince Qing. He had stayed in the mansion for 6 years. Although he rarely interacted with others, he knew that among the people who supported the 6th prince's faction, there were many experts, as well as the princess of the Zhenwu kingdom, who was the 6th Prince Qing. Moreover, Prince Qing was also famous for her beauty in the Zhenwu country. Qing, those powerful warriors who have been invited by me, are all here. You can choose some yourself. The sixth prince said, Yes. Prince Qing nodded slightly. Immediately, she started to walk among the crowd. The surrounding people looked at her with fervent eyes. You. Princess Qing stretched out her hand and pointed at the cultivators in the crowd. She pointed at 10 people before she stopped. The 10 people I just pointed at, come out, Princess Qing said coldly. The 10 people she pointed at immediately stood out one after another. Among them, Jian Wushuang was surprisingly one of them. Looking at the 10 people in front of him, the sixth prince frowned and said, Qing, let's change the batch. The 10 people you picked are all too weak. What the sixth prince said was the truth, because the 10 people chosen by Prince Qing, including Jian Wushuang, were only rank 3 true saints, but there was not even a rank 4 true saint. Although most of the hundreds of experts on the drill ground were rank 3 true saints, there were at least 20 rank 4 true saints. No need. I didn't go out this time to fight. These 10 people are enough to escort me, Prince Qing insisted. Chapter 3105. Holy Feather Sect __ Yuan Chong. Sixth Prince frowned and glanced at Yuan Chong. Follow Qing. If anything happens to Qing, you don't have to come back. Yes, Your Highness. Yuan Chong nodded respectfully. Let's go, Qing said. Everyone, let's go. Yuan Chong looked at Jian Wushuang and the others. Soon, Prince Qing, Yuan Chong, and the 10 rank 3 true saints, including Jian Wushuang, left the mansion and headed toward the distant void. On the way, Yuan Chong and Prince Qing exchanged messages. Prince Qing, you can choose some stronger people to escort you, such as the 10 rank 4 true saints or the 6th prince's purple blood camp. Yuan Chong said, No. Prince Qing shook his head. Sixth brother is at a critical moment right now, and he needs more experts to protect him. The Purple Blood Battalion is his strongest force, and I cannot use this force. As for the other experts, I don't need them either. If it weren't for sixth brother forcing me, I wouldn't even bring these 10 third-rank true saints with me. After all, if I leave more experts behind for him, his situation will be better. But this way, your situation will be very dangerous. Yuan Chong frowned. Don't worry, it won't happen. Royal Highness Qing said indifferently, We are going to the Holy Feather Sect. It's not far from the Zhenwu country. Moreover, there are no particularly dangerous areas on the way. As long as our luck is not too bad, we won't encounter any danger. Under normal circumstances, there won't be any danger. But what about the third prince? Yuan Chong said, If the third prince knows that you are going to the Holy Feather Sect, he will definitely send powerful warriors here immediately. Hearing these words, Prince Qing's face also sank. Indeed, on the way to the Holy Feather Sect this time, she did not need to experience any dangerous places. However, the biggest threat to her was still that third prince. No matter what, I am still his biological sister. He would not attack me. Moreover, even if he knew that he wanted to attack me, he would have to find me. There are so many ways to go from the Zhenwu country to the Holy Feather Sect. How could he find me so easily? Prince Qing said. Yuan Chong nodded slightly, but his heart was still heavy. The 10 rank 3 true saints behind them, including Jian Wushuang, still did not know where they were going. But since they had followed Prince Qing, they would follow him wherever he went. The group of people moved at a very fast speed in the void. The true martial kingdom was also in a huge mansion. This mansion was the residence of the third prince. In the magnificent palace, a cold-looking man wearing a luxurious golden robe was sitting on the throne. Below him, there were dozens of experts standing respectfully. Among these dozens of experts, most of them were rank 4 true saints. There were even 3 rank 5 true saints. In terms of strength, the third prince's strength was clearly much stronger than the sixth prince's. Qing left sixth. The third prince tapped the armchair with his finger, and his calm voice echoed throughout the palace. Yes, she left 2 days ago. She only had Yuan Chong, a peak 4th rank true saint, and 10 3rd rank true saints with her, a black-robed elder said respectfully. She only brought so few people. The third prince raised his eyebrows. Do you know where she is going? I don't know. However, according to the direction she is going, she should be heading out of the country. The old man dressed in black said. The third prince waved his hand, and a huge star map appeared in the center of the palace. This is the territory near my true martial kingdom. Tell me, where is Qing now? The third prince said, Your Highness, she is here. The black-clothed old man pointed to a direction in the star map. When he saw the location pointed by the black-clothed old man, the third prince's pupils shrank. Then, a strange smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Haha, my little sister is really good to sixth brother. We are both from the same father. If she treats me like this, how good would that be? Your Highness, do you know where Your Highness Qing is going? The old man in black looked over. From the direction she is going, she should be heading to the Holy Feather Sect. Not long ago, I received news that an elder of the Holy Feather Sect who had reached the peak of stage 6 had taken a liking to her when he passed by the Zhenwu country. He even wanted to take her as his personal disciple. Now, she is going to the Holy Feather Sect. As long as she passes the elder's test, she will be able to become his disciple. At that time, with this relationship, Qing can ask the Holy Feather Sect to step in and support sixth brother's ascension. The third prince said, Will the Holy Feather Sect make a move? The old man in black frowned. Ordinary disciples won't be weak, but a personal disciple of a peak level 6 elder will have a certain amount of power. Moreover, if it really doesn't work, then as long as sixth brother compromises a little and agrees to let the Zhenwu country become the king under the Holy Feather Sect, then the Holy Feather Sect will naturally make a move. The third prince laughed. If that's the case, Your Highness, we must act quickly. The black-clothed old man said anxiously, Yes, we must act, but there is no need to be too anxious. After all, it will take at least 1 or 2 months to arrive at the Holy Feather Sect from sixth brother. Such a long time is enough for us to prepare. Godfor, I will leave this matter to you. When you see Qing, tell her that as her elder brother, I can give her a chance. As long as she comes back with you and stays by my side obediently from now on, I will naturally not make things difficult for her. When I become the king, she will still be the only princess in the Zhenwu kingdom. The third prince said, But what if Prince Qing doesn't agree? The black-clothed elder asked, If he doesn't agree, then I can only pretend that I don't have a sister. The third prince said coldly, Understood. The black-clothed elder glanced at the third prince, then bowed and left. In the vast void, Jian Wushuang and his group were flying rapidly. It had been more than a month since they left the sixth prince's mansion, and they had already left the territory of the true martial kingdom. They did not encounter any danger or trouble along the way. According to our speed, we will arrive at the Holy Feather Sect in 10 days at most. Prince Qing's expression was cold, but there was a trace of expectation in his heart. But at this moment, Jian Wushuang, who was in the crowd, suddenly raised his head. He could sense that there were dozens of powerful auras rapidly approaching from the void in front of him. In just a moment, the dozens of experts had appeared in front of Jian Wushuang and the others. Ha! Your Highness Qing, I have been waiting here for you for a long time. A hearty laughter suddenly echoed in the world. Chapter 3106. Interception. "Ha! Your Highness Qing, I have been waiting for you for a long time." When the hearty laughter echoed in the air, the expressions of Qing and Yuan Chong immediately changed. Yuan Chong immediately saw the person who was laughing. Holy Four? Oh no, it's the third prince's men. Yuan Chong was shocked, and everyone immediately stopped. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The figures were so fast that they appeared in front of Jian Wushuang and the others in the blink of an eye. At first glance, there were nearly 30 experts who had just arrived, and the lowest among them was a rank 3 true saint. However, there were only a few of them, and most of them were rank 4 true saints. The aura emanating from the black-clothed old man in the lead far surpassed that of a 4th rank true saint. This black-clothed old man was a genuine 5th rank true saint. Such a lineup was far stronger than the one on Prince Qing's side. They were on 2 completely different levels. How did you know to wait for us here?" Prince Qing's voice was cold. "How did you know?" "Of course, someone told us." The black-robed old man, Shun Si, smiled coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, a purple-haired man who was originally behind Prince Qing instantly transformed into a purple ray of light and shot out. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Shun Si. "My lord." The purple-haired man bowed respectfully to Shun Si. "And you did well." Shun Si merely nodded indifferently. Upon seeing this scene, Prince Qing immediately reacted. "Spy." "Ha ha, Prince Qing. Although in terms of cultivation talent, be it you or the 6th prince, both of them are very impressive, but in terms of methods of doing things, you and the 6th prince are still a little too immature." Shun Si laughed loudly. Previously, the 6th prince was so ostentatiously inviting experts from all over the place. How could the 3rd prince not know about such a huge commotion? Even though the 3rd prince didn't stop him, it's still possible for him to secretly send a few experts under the 6th prince's command. And among the 10 experts you've chosen this time, we happen to be one of them. Godfor only spoke half of his words. Actually, the 3rd prince had sent quite a number of spies under the 6th prince's command. There were at least more than 10 of them, including 3rd and 4th level true saints. It was because he had sent out so many spies that even if Prince Qing had chosen 10 people at random, one of them would still be one of them. So that's how it is. Prince Qing and Yuan Chong's expressions were extremely unsightly. 4th God, it's one thing for you to have spies under his command, but now that you're blocking his path, what are you trying to do? Yuan Chong shouted coldly. "What are we trying to do? Don't you know?" 4th God snickered. "Your Highness Qing, the 3rd prince has already guessed your intention. Isn't it to go to the Holy Feather Sect and become the subordinate of that peak 6th level true saint elder, and then use the power of the Holy Feather Sect to help the 6th prince ascend to the throne? Do you think the 3rd prince will let you have your way?" Inwardly, Prince Qing was stunned. She did not expect that the 3rd prince had even guessed her intention. "Your Highness Qing, we have also brought with us the words of the 3rd prince. The 3rd prince has said that if you come back with me now, you will stay by his side from now on. That prince will not make things difficult for you because of the blood connection. In the future, when he ascends to the throne, you will still be able to become the princess of the Zhenwu country. Your position will only be second to him. However, if you are still stubborn and stand together with the 6th prince to oppose him, then don't blame him for being ruthless." Shun Si said in a low voice. He connected by blood? From the moment he was born, he had been planning and preparing. When father was around, he had also been suppressing us. Now that father had gone missing, he could not wait to eliminate the people who threatened his status. Now, he still had the face to say that they were connected by blood, If he said it out loud, it would be a joke. Prince Qing shouted. It seems that Prince Qing is not going to change his mind. Shensi's voice became low and his eyes turned cold. Prince Qing stopped talking, but he had already made up his mind. Yuan Chong looked at Jian Wushuang and the others behind him. Everyone, sixth prince paid a great price to invite you here. Now it's time for you to fulfill your duty, Yuan Chong said in a low voice. Hearing this, the 8 people next to Jian Wushuang looked at each other with strange expressions. Mr. Yuan Chong, one of the rank 3 true saints suddenly said. He said, I was indeed invited by the 6th prince. The reward promised by the 6th prince is indeed a lot, but although I can be his guard for 100 years, it's not worth my life, not to mention the current situation. So I'm sorry. As soon as this rank 3 true saint finished speaking, his body immediately transformed into a streak of light and shot out into the air. With someone taking the lead, the others immediately followed suit. Your Highness Qing, Mr. Yuan Chong, I'm sorry. The 2 of you should just pray for yourselves. Although I agreed to be your escort, I've never agreed to risk my life for you, much less die. Voices rang out one after another. In the blink of an eye, 8 of the 9 cultivators behind Prince Qing had left. Seeing these 8 people leave, and the others did not stop them. They knew that these people who left were not truly loyal to 6th Prince, so there was naturally no need to kill them. When Yuan Chong saw this, he was so angry that he trembled. Damn it, damn it! Princess Qing's face became colder and colder. Huh! Princess Qing's expression suddenly changed. She found that although 8 of the 9 rank 3 true saints had left, one of them had chosen to stay. This person was Jian Wushuang. Why don't you leave? Princess Qing asked in a deep voice. I don't like to go back on my words. Since I promised to be your guard for 100 years, I will do my best to protect you, Jian Wushuang said indifferently. Hearing this, Prince Qing was stunned and then nodded slightly. Prince Qing, don't worry. Even if I die, I won't let anything happen to you. Yuan Chong's eyes were extremely scarlet. He took a deep look at Prince Qing and then stepped forward. Godfor, I want to talk to you about a condition. Yuan Chong's voice echoed. Talk about a condition? Godfor sneered. At this point, what condition can you talk to me about? Moreover, even if you want to talk about a condition, Prince Qing will be the one to do it. Who do you think you are? Humph, you can't refuse to negotiate because Yuan Chong said as he approached Shensi. However, Yuan Chong suddenly waved his hand, and 2 red streams of light were thrown out from his hand.